Morning, Raptor Freak. Alexi Odds here. Sunday morning. We have the last game of the Summer League today at 4 p.m. against the Milwaukee Bucks. We're playing, it's the third place game because Portland and New York are playing for the Summer League championship, and we are the next two teams in the whole standings is Milwaukee and Toronto. So this is a game that we can get a little bit of bragging rights. I don't know if they're giving out bronze rings since they're giving out rings to the champion. Maybe they can give a bronze ring to the third place team, like we could possibly be today. And I'm looking at Milwaukee's roster, and it's interesting. Like they've got some better players. Like this isn't like Miami or Chicago. This is a team that actually has some good players on it playing in Summer League, including their first round pick, Marjan Beauchamp, who's been coming in. He's been averaging 14 points in the Summer League so far, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And then you got that guy, Mama Luke, the guy called Mama Luke, Sandro Mama Kuslavi, or whatever his name is. He's the leading scorer for the Milwaukee Bucks in Summer League right now, 20 and a half points, 8.8 rebounds, 2.8 assists. So that big dude, Mama Luke, is the guy who's been leading the Milwaukee Bucks Summer League team. So we'll have to look out for him today, Sandro. And then Canadian Lindell Wigington is on this team, and he has had some huge games for them also. Single-handedly winning one of the Summer League games for them, 20 points, 2.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, Lindell Wigington. And then one more player of a note that's playing for them and playing a lot is Dewan Hernandez. Yes, that is our draft pick, Dewan Hernandez from a couple years ago, second-round pick or whatever. I don't even remember. Maybe he was a first-round pick. I don't remember, but he's a second-round pick. He was pick number 59 by the Raptors. So they've got Hernandez also. So there'll be some familiar faces on this Milwaukee Bucks team we're going to play today. It'll be a good test going out from Summer League. We could approach this two ways. We could either be like, you know what, we don't really care about this game. This is stupid. Third place doesn't matter anyway. Who cares? And just play the guys at the end of the bench that did not get a lot of look during Summer League. Guys like Ryan Hawkins and Jalen Sims and people like that. So maybe that's what will happen today. Maybe they'll be competitive and try and win the game any way they can and play the best team they can, which will be similar to what they've already been playing. So it'll be interesting to see how the Raptors play this one. I'm going to say they're going to play to win no matter what, but they may also try and mix in getting some extra looks at guys who didn't get as much looks during Summer League also, like Barcelo's another one, stuff like that. Good morning, Monique. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Shane. Yeah, playing for third today. Let's go, boys. That's what Sue's saying. And Shane is here, and I can't believe it. Shane, we didn't get a whole lot of sleep. This is what happened last night, and I was just about to go to bed at about 1:45, and Slim Duck, Chris Boucher jumped on the Twitch and started playing Call of Duty in the middle of the night last night. I think he had been out with his buddies, and then he just came in for the evening. He's like, "Yo, I'm on a Twitch and I'm online, y'all." And there were only like a handful of us in there watching them, like maybe like 20 of us at the highest point. And Shane Waters was one of them in there with me. So I know Shane's a little tired this Sunday morning also because we stayed up late watching Chris play video games. And I must say this about Chris. He's a much better Call of Duty player than Scotty. I love Scotty. Scotty, you're good at it, but Chris has his stuff organized way better with his friends. Like these dudes, you can tell they've been playing first-person shooters like this game a lot, and they kind of have their work in tandem really worked out. Like where, you know, if they're going around the map, they kind of keep a distance from each other and they have really good communication. That's the thing about Chris and his friends. They're like, well, he's on the roof. Oh, he's on below us. And they can talk. They also know the map really, really well because when they talk about specific places in the game, they all know what they're talking about right away and stuff like that and where to go. So, man, Chris's team is organized. And I'll tell you something else about Chris Boucher on COD is that this man has a sniper shot This dude will be shooting people from across the board and zeroing in and taking them out like from far away. It's hilarious because he'll be parachuting in and he'll be sniping as many people as he can on the way in coming down, and he's moving. So he's like shooting people while he's moving with the sniper rifle and he's hitting them. So that in itself is very like impressive in some ways. But there were a couple of times when Chris would get shot, he'd be attacked and he'd be almost dead, but then somehow miraculously he'd like pull himself behind like an air conditioner or something on the map, and he'd be laying there dying and like one of his friends would run up real quick and save his life. And that happened like at least a half dozen times last night, and that was pretty cool because there were many times when Scotty, the same kind of thing would happen to him and his friends would be nowhere near helping him and like getting out, like showing up and like giving him medi packs all of a sudden. But it was fun. Chris is really good at COD. Like if they played together at the same time, Scotty, I think that Chris would do better. But it would be fun to see them as a team, especially if they have Chris's dudes with them, because he had 3 dudes playing with him last night. And they, like I said, they're a good tandem. They really know how to play off each other and cover ground and protect each other. And that's the important thing about these kind of first person shooters like COD, is that you need that. I know from my experience years and years ago of playing SOCOM on PlayStation 2 around 2000. I was a big SOCOM guy and we had headsets and we did the same thing that Chris is doing last night. And it was fun. But we had it all organized. And as more organized we were, the better we did in the fight. And that's really the truth about that kind of stuff. So Tom Duke saying Slim Duck is his name on Twitch. You guys are awesome. Yeah, it's Slim Duck with 2 M's in the middle, Tom Duke. So if you want to check it out, like see what he did. I don't know if he keeps it posted. Like he's weird on Twitch. Like he gets on there, but he's not really caring about promoting himself or putting videos on there. It's just like, I'm on, you want to watch me live? Here you go. And then like, unlike Scotty, who's always like, all right, guys, I love you. I'll talk to you later. He gives a goodbye. Chris just yanks the cord and leaves when he's ready to leave. He's just like, all right, I'm done. And he like turns it off and everybody's like, whoa, what happened? And he's just gone. Chris Boucher's awesome though. He's a real one. And it's hilarious because he's playing and half the game he's speaking in French and half the game he's speaking in English. And like his teammates are bilingual themselves. So he can do it all in French or in English at different times. Hilarious. All right, let's see. I Smoke Rocks is here. Good morning, Smoke Rocks. I hope you haven't smoked them too early this morning. Happy National Lottery Day. What does that mean? Is it a National Lottery Day in the U.S. or what? I don't know what Lottery Day means. Got to get the city life in real quick. All right, it's going on. Shame's telling Tom Duke how to find them. They moved as a unit. They really did move as a unit, and they flanked each other, and they did some techniques. Like one of Chris's techniques in this game. Sorry if I'm talking about Call of Duty too much, but it is a Raptor, and this is the Raptor Freak and stuff like that. He is really good at sneaking up behind guys. Like he'll spy somebody on the map and he'll know where they kind of are going and he'll come around them and all of a sudden he'll be behind them and he'll be like shooting them in the back. It's like he's really good at this game. Like I'm really impressed with Chris Boucher. And at times he would say like, I would be just as good as all y'all if I had enough time to play all the time. And I believe him because if he's not playing regularly or playing a lot, he's really good for not playing regularly and stuff like that. All right, G brought it up. I knew this was going to happen. Of course, we're going to talk about this. This is insane what happened yesterday. Malachi Flynn got 73 points in the Seattle Pro-Am yesterday. But yesterday was a weird day because LeBron went to Drew League with DeMar DeRozan. Like that is Raptor news in itself. That DeMar DeRozan got LeBron to come to Drew League, and now they seem like they're best buds. It is so weird to a Raptor freak like me to see DeMar DeRozan and LeBron James palling around and being buddies because there's a history there. And there's a history there of pain and anguish and hurt from LeBron James towards DeMar DeRozan from Eastern Conference battles in the playoffs. And now they're tight. And it makes you think about how much LeBron wanted DeMar to be on the Lakers last year instead of Russell Westbrook. It really makes you see just how much LeBron wants to play with DeMar DeRozan. When they played on the Drew League team, they kicked some major butt. In fact, they scored 72 points between the two of them, and the place was rocking. It was like DeMar was telling the story about him watching Kobe come to Drew League in 2011, where he came and like he killed it. And the people there, this is like, as DeMar said, this is in the middle of the hood. Like the people that are at these games are real people from the hood, and the people that deserve to see the real street ball in the the downtown of LA. And that when Kobe was there, that wanted him to leave early because it was a logistics nightmare for security to keep the fans away from him. And they were like, the game's gonna, you can't get out of here if the game's still going on. Like, you got to get out of here before it ends, because you won't be able to get out of here when it ends. And Kobe was like, no, I'm staying till the end. And he hit the game winner. And then all the people at Drew League came onto the court and swarmed him. And he loved it. And DeMar's like, it was just the coolest thing in the world. In some ways, I could see that. And this could be partly why LeBron, he's been to Drew League before, but he hadn't been in a while. And he came back this time. Really interesting stuff. And of course, Kyrie's playing in Drew League also. So there's all kinds of overtures about what LeBron James wants for the Lakers right now. And that's Kyrie or DeMar DeRozan, and it ain't Russell Westbrook. So dumpster fire, burn away in Los Angeles. We know that you are there, and you are an eternal flame that is just burning and burning. Right on, right on. But getting back to my whole point about this is DeMar and LeBron got 72, and guess who outscored both of them yesterday? Malachi Flynn. That's right. This man was crazy. Like, I don't even understand. How did he get 73 points? Like, seriously, how long was this game? This dude must have been super on fire. Red Van Vliet is out there killing it. We had some Red Curry out there, man, because that's what I'm saying. This man could get out there, and he was bombing like Steph Curry, Fred Van Vliet, like deep threes, and just doing everything right, obviously, to get 73 points. Holy crap. Now, I do have to say, in the footage of what I saw from Malachi's performance, the people he was playing did not look like they were very good defensive players. But it is really encouraging and nice to see Malachi feast like this, because in some ways, he's not getting a shine because he didn't play in Summer League. He's getting, people are really beating him down online as far as like him and Svi are kind of on the outs with Raptors Nation in some ways. We're not real impressed with them. So he needed to go do something like this at the Seattle Pro-Am yesterday, because this was really, really good. And like, it is some fodder and some ammunition against anti-Malachi people, that you can say this dude dropped 73 in the Seattle Pro-Am last night. And that's great. That's fantastic for him. I'm happy for Malachi. He needs to bring that energy and that kind of production to the Raptors. If you can do that in Seattle, let's see you do it with the Raptors roster at different points and do it consistently. That's what we want, Malachi. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I Smoke Rocks is saying, can you play Call of Duty with them online? Well, this is what somebody was asking Chris last night. It was like, I want your number so that I can find you online. And Chris said, I don't do that anymore. I don't give people out my number to find me on here because it got too hectic and crazy and weird. So technically, no, but if you just happen to luck into a game with them or just randomly happen that way, then yeah, you can. You're more likely to be able to play basketball with Scotty Barnes than play COD with Chris Boucher. And that's not very often either. It's just that like Scotty, when he's playing basketball, he sometimes doesn't have enough people to play with him on his team. So he will recruit a random from the pool around wherever he's playing in 2K and get somebody, just an ordinary person, to play on his team. And you will get a chance to play against him if you're in the right location on 2K. So that's the thing I would say. If Scotty Barnes is on playing, you may be able to play with him. But I would say you're probably not going to play against Chris Boucher because he'd just be hard to find without having his player identification number and stuff like that. So let's see. Tom Duke saying, yeah, what the heck, Malachi? It's really cool. And like I was seeing Jordan Crawford like going crazy about Malachi coming to the Seattle Pro-Am because Jordan is like, he's not playing anymore for most part. And, he wanted to like show that like, have a big NBA name coming. It's Malachi Flynn of the Toronto Raptors, y'all. Come and see him. And he's putting an ad out for it. I'm like, well, is this really a big deal? Is this really exciting? And then like, yeah, I guess it is because a man's going to drop a 73 piece at the Seattle Pro-Am. So it was exciting. And the gym was weird where they were playing. Like half of it was closed off. So you had like a bleachers closed on one side and just one side with fans and stuff like that. I don't know. It's an accomplishment. And Malachi needs something positive like this. So I'll let him have it. I'm all about it. Malachi, do it. Bring that magic back, though, to the Raptors when you play with us, though. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Sue saying, yes, that was in the West Coast Summer League he played with last night, isn't it? It's not even a summer league. It's a pro-am. And it's similar to the Drew League that LeBron and DeMar are playing. It's not official with the NBA. It's not really like it's just a summer league that's for that region. It's a Seattle region summer league for people that are around the Seattle area. And Malachi being from that area is somebody who's probably played in that game a few times over his life. So Monique saying it was actually 73 in a game for Malachi. Yeah, so good. Like he had like 46 at the half, and then he had like 57 at the end of the third, and then boom, 73. Bam. I Smoke Rocks is saying, what do you think about the 2023 odds for MVP that came out? They have Luka number 1 and Embiid number 2. Looks like another big season for Joel. Sorry, Raptor Freak. Well, we'll have to see. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched and all kinds of ways. And aren't you guys in trouble possibly with PJ Tucker and the way you signed him just now? You guys might be losing a second round draft pick. Yeah, listen, these rankings, who gives a shit? Whatever rankings they put out in the middle of the summer, they don't mean jack shit. They put out power rankings already for next season. I don't give a crap about any of it. There's so much that's got to happen, whether it's dumpster fires breaking out on teams like Philadelphia possibly, or injuries or trades or, whatever. It doesn't matter. These people are stupid at ESPN that put out power rankings or MVP rankings. They can't tell the future. These guys are just as bad as a bad weatherman. They didn't know that Scotty Barnes was going to win Rookie of the Year. So how should I trust any of their prognostications? So yeah, I like Luka as being number 1, possibly for being MVP. I think that could be a pretty decent pick. But it's really kind of like the guys who have already been up at the top that are the ones you should watch, like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic. Yeah, those are the two guys that are my top candidates probably for MVP this year. I mean, Luka is probably up there, but Joel, nah, man, we don't reward big babies that fall on their own players and hurt people on trying to end Danny Green's career like that. Joel Embiid, like when you play, they need lumberjacks at courtside to call out timber whenever you're falling on your ass. Just for fun. So let's get that NBA for the safety of the rest of the players of the NBA. Let's get some lumberjacks at courtside for Philadelphia 76er games so they can yell out timber when Joel Embiid's about to fake fall all over the place. Yeah. How about that, Smoke Rocks? Yeah. All right. I'm a fun guy saying, yes, sir. My guy, Alexi. Yes, sir. I'm a fun guy. Just put the burn on him. Tom Duke saying Kyrie was a no-show, of course. Drama queen. Still wish DeMar was a Raptor. Tom, wow, I didn't realize that. So Kyrie didn't show up. Well, I thought he was showing up today or something. Or he wasn't supposed to play in the game with LeBron and DeMar. That would have been too much. That would have blown up the house. No, he was playing in a different game, but I don't know if he did actually show up. We've seen footage of him in the last day or so with Kanye West and Jaylen Brown. So it's like Kyrie and Jaylen and Kanye are doing photo shoots or something somewhere. I don't know what's going on there. And yes, I still wish DeMar was a Raptor too. DeMar, it will always be a Raptor in our hearts. This is unlike other players that spent their early career in Toronto, like Chris Bosh and Vince Carter, who have gone and become a part of another nation. There is no possible way to me that DeMar DeRozan will become more part of another NBA nation than the Toronto Raptors nation. that it's just too much of his history and too much of what he became into who he became, that he would recognize this also. That the Spurs years, as much as I love Popovich and I love the San Antonio Spurs, they were really kind of nothing to his career. They were just kind of a rest stop, a place that he just stopped in and played a couple games. Now, Chicago, if he gets some success there and wins a championship, then maybe that would change. But I don't think that his legacy in Chicago will be as great. Now, I love for him to win a championship, though. So if he does, and then he becomes more part of Bulls Nation in some ways, it is what it is. But I think in his heart, he's a Raptor, even though we did him wrong. He's in his heart, he really is still a Raptor deep down inside and stuff like that. So, all right, let's keep going. I'm a fun guy saying, what happened to Yuta and Bonga? Well, both of them were unrestricted free agents this free agency period, and nobody signed them. Nobody signed them. The Raptors didn't, and no other teams did either. Bonga and Yuta Watanabe are both free agents right now. They could be signed tomorrow. If the Raptors change their mind and say, Yuta, we want you back, they could get him back here because he is not under contract with a single NBA team. And the same thing goes for Isaac Bonga. So we don't know. These guys may be going to play internationally for this season coming up. That's really what I see happening, is that Yuta is going to take a year off from the NBA and play internationally, focus on playing for Team Japan, and then maybe, make that that momentum come back to try and come back and get an NBA job also. So, guys, just real quick, I want to say something real fast. It is OG Anunoby's 25th birthday. Happy birthday to OG Anunoby. We love you, OG, and we want you in a Raptors jersey next year. We don't want you traded. We don't want no KD. We want OG. That is what we want. So, OG, we want you back, and we're going to have you here on the team. We're not trading you, man. And if we do, and I'm wrong, but I would like to see OG, who's 25 years old today, continue to be on the Raptors. That's right. All right, let's keep going. Monique saying DeMar DeRozan's been to Drew League for years. That's right. Like, listen, he's such a man of the people. Like, he's just an ordinary dude. Like, he goes to Drew League just like a dude would just go to the Drew League from the neighborhood. He doesn't come in there rolling in with a whole entourage and stuff like that. Maybe he does just a little bit, but nothing too crazy because he's a real one. He can hang out with the people. He can be at Drew League with the people, and nobody messes with him. They respect him and give him his space, but they're also at the same time, that's DeMar DeRozan. He plays in the NBA, and he is a badass and stuff like that. But yeah, he's been going there for years. He doesn't miss a summer. In fact, he may kind of be the official NBA ambassador to the Drew League over the years of being there every single year and stuff like that. That it's just like they don't even get excited to see him because he's such a feature and regular a part of the Drew League year after year. So Sue's saying 73 is amazing. Flynn did well in the league last year too, and we were all excited and hope he took a big leap, but 73 is exceptional. So fingers crossed he has really come to hoop this year. Yeah, this is what I'm hoping too, Sue. We want to see Malachi succeed because, listen, if any reason, this is why. We've invested time in him. That Masai Ujiri has seen something in Malachi Flynn that he likes, and he wants to get out of him. And then we put this time in him, we give up on him too soon, and then boom, he goes to another team, and all of a sudden he flourishes as an NBA player. All of a sudden, we're going to be like, we don't want that. So we can't give up on him too soon. We have to really, really get to the bottom of whether he is a good NBA player or not. And that we need to get the first crack on that. And these guys really believe this, or they wouldn't have tried for so long, supported him, and let him have so many chances. So hopefully this third year, this third chance will be the year that blows up for him and really shows us why Masai Ujiri really puts so much into him and believes in him so much. We need to see that this year, Malachi. This is a do or die year for you, sir. And I believe in you to a degree. For some reason, I have some weird feeling that you may turn a corner all of a sudden and be like some sort of phenomenal backup point guard for us, finally. Monique saying Koloko finally took his rookie photo shoot. Yeah, they're great pictures. Koloko is cool, man. I'm a big fan of Koloko. I really do believe that this young man is going to make the Raptors defense even better. that like the Raptors defense has been suffocating and annoying to so many people for so long. Let's just add another layer of annoyance to other teams when they have to play us by having a shot blocker they got to worry about all of a sudden. Only you got to worry about these whirly birds outside, like this fidget spinners that are going to smack the ball out of the ball handler's hands, Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr. Well, then you got to worry about the middle guys that are like long armed and getting in the passing lanes in between, like Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. And then you get through those two stages of hell on defense. Then you got to deal with Koloko before you get to the basket. And that man might just send it right into the stands when you come near him, near the basket. And we did not have this look. We did not have this look in a couple of years since Serge Ibaka has been off this team. And it's fantastic. In fact, Koloko's block numbers are similar to kind of Serge Ibaka's kind of block numbers, that he's getting like 3 blocks a game, averaging 3 blocks a game. Let me look at it. I got it right here. I want to look at what is he average? He's averaging 2.8 blocks a game right now in summer league. He's really averaging 3 blocks a game. So that's phenomenal. In fact, if he gets enough time on the NBA level, he could be among the block leaders in the NBA. If he gets the minimum amount of time in games and played and gets enough blocks, he could be in the league leaders in blocks this season, y'all. I'll predict this right now. Christian Koloko, look out. You better be looking out for Koloko. Oh, yeah. G saying last season when they did the Rookie of the Year ranking, Scotty wasn't even in their polling. Exactly. Why should we trust any fabricated ranking system? That's why I tell y'all, if you want to follow a power ranking system, follow the dumpster fire power rankings. They are ultimately the ones that will tell you the most about who's winning and losing in the NBA. And listen, I had to mark Phoenix up a couple of spots on the dumpster fire rankings because Ayton having to play for the Phoenix Suns is toxic and is going to make things in Phoenix a little awkward coming back into training camp. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a little awkward. It's going to be a little, may not be completely a happy home in Phoenix. So they get marked up a little bit in the dumpster fire rankings. They've gone up in the power rankings of dumpster fire. So, it's that kind of stuff. That is the kind of rankings you want to pay attention to because these are the rankings that really matter. It's the reality of the situation, not just what people want. Oh, I want this team to be good because I love the Sixers. I want this team to be good because I love the Boston Celtics. Ooh. That's half the time how they pick things. And then they don't want to pick us because they don't like us. So they'll put us right in the middle, number 15, because they know they don't want to sewer us too bad because they don't want to look so stupid. But they don't want to put us up where we probably belong, and that's in the top 10 and maybe even in the top 8. So, woo, get it together, NBA. Woo! All right, Patrick Douglas saying all forecasts are wrong. That's right. That is right. Patrick Douglas is right. These are not factual people. These people like Bill Simmons and Tim Bontemps, and who the fuck are these people anyway? Oh my gosh, they're Celtic fans that act like they're NBA fans, stuff like that. So G saying they called the Nets to win the summer league and they ended up at 28th. See, these guys are horrible at predicting things. Like they probably already think the Nets are going to be a contender this year and stuff like. I don't know. I don't even want to get into this too much. Just know that if it's from ESPN and they're ranking things, take it with a grain of salt, is what I'll say. Let's see. Jimmy Pope is here. What's up, Raptor freaks? What's up, Jimmy Pope? What's up? Regular from being around for the whole year. For the most part, Jimmy Pope's been in and out and checking on us every once in a while. Monique saying, don't really read the Vegas odds. It's silly. I agree, Lex. Yeah, Vegas odds are for degenerates. In fact, this is something that I want to talk about with a change in the sport that I don't like. I don't like what's happening with sports and TSN and different things like that. They're opening it up to making it mainstream betting. And like on ESPN now, they have betting shows. Like the other day, I was trying to watch a summer league game. And before that, I had to sit and watch 5 minutes of these idiots just talk about how to bet on sports and stuff like that. This is insidious. This is a decline of civilization is what this is. And having so much gambling like this around us all of a sudden. That Ontario's been opened up to legally sports gamble in all kinds of different ways. And also there's casinos now. There's all kinds of stuff. And, they put the casino in Scarborough right in the middle of a socially, economically depressed area. Why do they do this? It's the same reason why they put a liquor store in the south side of town where all the poor people live. for money, to make money off of poor people, and they hurt even worse. You are subjugating people who may have addictive personalities that don't want to gamble. You're putting it right in their face, and then all of a sudden, boom, we have more people in the poorhouse. The poor get poorer, and the rich get richer. And that's why I am not for the opening up of gambling in Ontario. I'm not for the opening up of sports books and so much gambling on basketball and other sports right now. And because it's getting intertwined into the mainstream on the sports broadcast, that is gross and insidious. And we should have kept that line and that boundary between real sports journalism and sports channels and being a fucking sports book. That this shouldn't be crossed, that this shouldn't be muddied like this and half of both. And I think this is horrible. In fact, this is a sign to me that the Western civilization is declining and we're going to collapse, that this kind of stuff is happening. This is a canary in the coal mine to me, man. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of all the extra gambling that's involved in sports all of a sudden, or in Ontario. That Doug Ford open it up, let everybody go gamble. That's horrible for people in lower economic standing, that they will spend money that they shouldn't be spending and lose it, and it'll go somewhere that it shouldn't, instead of maybe to rent or maybe to food on their table for their kids. So this is why I'm saying I think this is insidious and is a decline of Western civilization, opening up gambling like they did. Oh yeah. Six candidates saying, who you think will get those last two roster spots? I really hope Jeff Doughton Jr. is one of them. Six Canada. I mean, seriously, this dude deserves it. If you're really looking at who deserves it, he deserves one of them. So yeah, that's the dude. And I mean, if we're really looking at it, and there's two there, Armani Brooks. If I have to pick two of the guys from the way they played, Armani Brooks and Jeff Doughton. You know, Ron Harper's already in. Koloko's in for sure. Delano's in for sure. So I picked those two guys otherwise and stuff like that. So Monique's saying it too. Downton for sure. Definitely Downton. We need to figure out how to get Jeff Downton in our system. That we got 20 players we can bring to training camp, and we'll cut 3 of them by the end of training camp. And then right now we put invitations out to Justin Champagnie, DJ Wilson, Armani Brooks, these Delano Banton, these guys are all getting the invites to camp, and then we'll see who actually gets the spots. Because some of these guys, it's like Sam Mitchell said the other day, it's like a 50-50 shot. Four of them come, and then maybe 2 of them get it. 2 of them get cut, stuff like that. So yeah. Shane Waters is saying, I don't know if Doughton will get a spot. He was the playmaker for sure, but his D is not on par, in my opinion. Really? You didn't like his defense? I didn't see that. I thought his defense was quite good. Like, he's good at like getting in the passing lane like the other guys, and he has long arms and he's active. I thought his defense was fine. I didn't really see a glaring problem there, but maybe you saw stuff I didn't see, Shane. Monique saying, do you ever think Scotty will make the 2K cover? I think that you could put money on this, Monique, and you will win that bet. Yeah, he's going to get on that cover. You know, I started to talk about this yesterday, about the new leap that I think Scotty's going to make this season is going to be very apparent and crazy. And it's going to make people think, oh, yeah, he should be the rookie of the year. And all these people that didn't think he should have been the rookie of the year are going to shut up, because they're going to see a leap in him. And the way that he controls NBA games, that is going to be completely different in some ways than last year. Like, he was doing it on the down low last year, but this year he's going to be more overt about how he controls the game. Watch. Seriously, I have a real weird feeling that Scotty is going to be a 20-plus scorer for sure, and that he's going to average some crazy numbers this year, because he's going to have more of his better surroundings, like a more understanding of like being more comfortable in what he's going to be doing. Like last year, if he wasn't, like, he was new and he didn't know what he was doing, like in the NBA, he was really good. But just imagine how it'll be when he knows what to expect and knows what he's doing more in the NBA level. He's going to be something else, guys, because he's already telegraphing and doing really intelligent plays in his rookie year with no experience. Just imagine as he gets more and more veteran experience, that's going to increase even more so, even though he's already doing it. So yeah, oh man. Kenny's saying, can we sign Downton? I'm getting worried. I think we can. We can do this. And this is what I'm thinking they'll do, Kenny. They might give him an Exhibit 10. And that means that they'll just pay as they go towards, like, as they continue to keep him around. I really think they need to really seriously give this kid a chance on the Raptors roster this year. That he is kind of the epitome of a lot of the things that we want for our bench right now, just himself, consistency, the scoring, the playmaking. Like, we don't really have a playmaker like Jeff Doughton on our team in some ways, because he really is kind of like a very honed old school kind of point guard playmaker. And that's something that's not very common in the NBA anymore. Is like there's always hybrids of the scoring point guards that just kind of pass when sometimes. And I don't like that. I want guys that are really focused and take passing first. And then they only score when they have to, because they have to, and stuff like that. So let's see. Monique saying we already know why Koloko hasn't signed. Yeah. The reason why is because he's being considered for a two-way or a regular contract. And they want to decide how they want to handle this. It's like either they're going to give him a two-way, which I think they should, or they're going to give him a full contract. I think they should give him the two-way. That's the way I'm looking at it so far. Kenny saying it's crazy ESPN's doing timeout in their broadcast to tell us the odds in the game. I think that is crazy. I think it's bad. It's not the right direction we should heading into. Like that movie Idiocracy that Mike Judge made like years and years ago. So much of it is becoming true right now. Like, we're degenerating as a society into fart humor, just like in that movie. You see Dax Shepard sitting on the couch laughing at like people falling or getting hit in the nuts. Well, what is TikTok and a lot of like social media at this point? They show footage of dumb clips of people getting hit in the nuts or farting or doing some just toilet humor. That we're going in that direction. That in some ways we're getting stupider. We're more smart because we have more access to information, but we're also stupider because we rely on the machines and stuff for information. We don't actually learn anything. It's like, oh, I'll Google it and I'll look it up, but I don't actually have to maintain that information in my head like the way you used to have to do it. So I don't know. The society and things are getting really weird right now. And we're seeing a lot of weird dumpster fires in society that are showing signs that, man, we may be in trouble as a civilization. That like in the next 100 years, there may not even be humans on this planet just because of how badly we're doing with how we're running the earth right now. So that's my opinion. And some people may think I'm crazy, but listen, with climate change and the devolving of society, especially in the United States with the gun violence and the racism and stuff like that, yeah, we're heading in the wrong direction. We're not heading in the right direction right now. So, all right, let's see. Patrick Douglas is saying destruction of the purity of the game, disregard of our morality. Yeah, wow, that's tough stuff. What you're saying, that way you wrote that, destruction of the purity of the game, disregard of our morality. Yeah, we don't want sports to become like the Pete Rose show. We don't want people to be like, get it so mainstream. I cannot gamble on sports because I have an addictive personality. I'm an alcoholic. I would, if I started gambling on sports, I would probably lose tons and tons of money and, win a little bit here. I may win a lot too, because I'm good at predicting stuff, but also understand that slippery slope. And then honestly, I can't watch these broadcasts anymore when they do the little betting part because it triggers me to an extent. And then it's not even voluntary for me in some ways. Like if I watch too much of that, if I have the easy access and the way to do it and I'm into it, I may get sucked into that addictively. And it could cause really serious financial repercussions for me in all kinds of ways. So I don't even start like with it. I say, I don't even gamble with poker because of these reasons, because of my addictive personality. So I can't imagine, like I'm watching ESPN or I'm watching a game now and I get triggered by watching sports to want to go gamble. That's messed up. That's not good. That's not good society. There's a reason why you took cigarette ads off TV. There's a reason why you don't advertise alcohol in certain ways. And you need to be respectful of this and understand that there's already an underlying gambling addiction problem in society and that y'all are just going to make it worse with the way you've opened things up. Patrick saying Jeff is in. Van Vliet needs a solid backup. Yeah, I like that. I think Jeff Doughton should be in. I'm with Patrick Douglas. A lot of us are on the same page with this. I'm a fun guy saying Scotty has a superstar potential and very vibrant personality. I 100% see him on a 2K cover. Well, not only that, he's like kind of becoming the poster boy for 2K because of how much he plays, how much he's into it. I mean, they had him trying the new 2K23 when he was in Vegas and stuff like that. So he's just a natural pick. He's young. He's a kid who loves playing video games. He just fits. They would be smart. I know they made this beautiful Devin Booker cover for this year, but they'd be smart to put him on there as soon as possible and get Scotty Barnes on there for next year, probably, and stuff like that. So he definitely has a superstar personality. And this is the thing about Scotty is that a lot of his growth and what he does on the court is going to be intangibles. It's going to be things that don't necessarily translate to what everybody thinks it will, but it will translate to one thing that's very important, and that's W's. Yeah, Raptors winning a lot because he's going to have that Magic Johnson, Larry Bird kind of effect on the game like a superstar would like that. Josh Monroe is saying they might find an excuse to pass on Doughton for Flynn and Delano. Raps aren't doing themselves any good by relying on them because he can be better than both of them. Wow. I mean, I think I agree with that with Flynn. I don't know about Delano, though. There's something about Delano that makes me think that this dude has got some more levels to his NBA potential and stuff like that because he's still trending up. Now, Malachi, I look at him and I'm like, where is he trending? I don't even know if he's gone up or down. We just don't know. Like, I feel like he's kind of down, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I like Downton a lot. If we can get Downton in the fold, that would be smart. I don't want to have regret because we didn't get him. And all of a sudden we see him do amazing things somewhere else like Gary Payton II. That would not be good. Monique saying, Kenny, the OVO ticket prices are nuts. Okay, yeah, you guys were talking about OVO ticket price. I just seen Kenny's statement there, and I just missed it from before because he had a couple in a row. Yeah, I don't know how much they are. That's Drake. That's going to be that kind of thing. You're paying for the name brand. You're paying for OVO. You're paying for that's how it is. I don't know. Maybe I should go to that sometime. I've never been to OVO. Stuff like that. Shemaine Grant, good to see another new name. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single morning. Talking Raptors. Join us again. I think they got to get rid of Flynn, Watanabe, Svi, and Johnson and sign Jeff. Yeah, I think that Svi is for sure. I don't know what's going to happen with Svi. Actually, we don't know for sure. Watanabe's pretty much gone. I think the writing's on the wall for David Johnson that we haven't seen them offer him a contract like they did Justin Champagnie last week. And that probably means that this summer league's it. Like he's not going to be around the Raptors organization for training camp. So we should be ready for that. Tom Duke saying basketball world on the uptrend. Money with the money tongue. Dice, bet on yourself. Money bag. Then there's a trend, and then there's money going flying away, and then there's some socks. And then he's watching it. Yeah, interesting. I'm not totally sure what he's saying in his Rebus language today, but I see something's going up and something's going down. That's all I see. Kenny's saying $750 to sit on the lawn at Budweiser stage. Holy crap. $750 to sit on the outside on the grass. Wow. Yeah, that's a high price. Like that's almost as much as how much I paid to go to the NBA finals when we play Golden State. So that's crazy. Canadian Cowboy. Love the name. That's awesome. Let's go Loco. Koloko. Can't wait. Yes. Koloko looks badass. Koloko is a game changer. Koloko is somebody who's going to put his imprint on the game when he's out there because he is someone you have to respect. You have to realize where he is if he's on the court at any time, if you have the ball and he's on defense, because he will come get you. And like they said, it's like, listen, you could beat him and he'll still get you because he can catch up and he's really good at going over your shoulder and still blocking it. Like, it's going to be interesting. I really want to see how they develop him for his footwork, his handwork, making those bunnies around the basket, making more of his low post shots with his baby hooks and the different things he wants to do that. Fix that all up and make it more sound and more smooth. And then the other stuff is like figuring out how to play defense without fouling so much. They play them straight up or just know the savvy ways of doing it. Learn from guys like Thad Young and Chris Boucher this season, Christian. And you will become a better and better big man in the NBA. And we're so happy to have a shot blocker. Finally. Oh, my gosh, Canadian Cowboy. Oh, my gosh. Koloko looks great, doesn't he? Oh, my gosh. Tom Duke saying, that's my rebus of a bettor's rise and fall. He lost his socks in the end. That's hilarious. Okay, so I see what Tom Duke's doing there. Listen, we don't have the real mascot matchup going on right now, but we have Tom Duke's Rebus stories going on right now. And there is a story in what he just wrote. Shaman Grant is saying Koloko will surprise people. Yeah, I think that the thing about him is that he's a game changer. Like I keep saying, that you can draft any of these guys in the draft, but is this somebody who's going to have a huge impact on the game just from being there, his presence? And this is that kind of player. And that's fantastic that we got him at the 33rd pick, a guy who kind of looked like he should have been a first round pick, if you ask me, and that people may regret allowing Christian Koloko slide all the way to 33 in the years to come. They'll be like, how the fuck did he end up in the second round with the Raptors getting him at that point? Like, why didn't somebody take him in the 20s? Is the kind of stuff they'll be saying. Cowboys saying, can't wait till he dunks and blocks Mobley. Yeah. Yeah, I want to see him interact with the main NBA guys, the real deal dudes, and see what kind of fun stuff he can do and alter shots, maybe get some blocks on big names in different places. Monique saying, does Nick Nurse coming differently a bit? What changes do you think? You're talking about the season coming up. What is he going to do that's a little different? Well, one of the things I want the Raptors to install into their philosophy for this season that they didn't do that well last year is sharing the ball. That if there was a focus last year on defense and rebounding, sure, we've got that foundation built from last year. We know the defense of the Raptors. We can still work on it and tinker with it and make it even better, but we got pretty good. And the rebounding stuff has been fantastic also. But I want to see these guys get the assist numbers up for next season. I want to see these guys share the ball. I want to see these guys play more two-man game. I want to see more guys doing pick and roll. I want to see more give and go. I want to see more backdoor cuts. I want to see all that kind of stuff where we get easier baskets because they're actually using their aptitude and court vision and their strengths as premier NBA players, and they're playing off of each other instead of trying so hard at times to do isolation stuff. Like when Armani Brooks does the dribble between his legs and shakes the guy off and hits the three, that's great. But that's a one-on-one isolation play. I want to see him come around a screen of Koloko and hit the three at the top of the key, working off of another guy to get an easier shot. That's what I want to see this year, Monique. And if Nick Nurse can have a better philosophy of sharing the ball, I know that they already do that. They share it, but there's something wrong with the way that the flex offense sets up sharing the ball. It's kind of like, I understand the crossing at the top and the cutting and hit the open guy and keep passing till you get the easiest shot. But in some ways, I'd rather it go back to being like a Stockton and Malone kind of thing, where we got a guy who's a point guard. It could be a point forward like Scotty or Pascal, and they have the ball and they're looking for dudes and trying to get them in their spots, just like Stockton would try and get Malone in his spot. That we need to find our point guard that can set up dudes for best success with a great pass. That's half of what makes that field goal percentage go up for a shooter is the way they get the ball and if they're set up to make it at a higher percentage because the pass was so good and put him in such a good position to score. And I want to see more of that this year. If Scotty Barnes, he can do no looks and get them. That's fine. But I want to see him do some passes that just get people such ridiculously easy shots. And if we can see more of that, that'd be badass. If Nick Nurse is going to change things, get things a little different about our team this year. I'm a fun guy saying our defense is immensely better when Koloko's on the court. It is true. It is true. Like he has a certain, like if this is a video game, he has a certain static stat that comes in with the game when he comes on the court that just gives a bonus to the whole court presence of defense for the Raptors when he is in there. And this is so true. Canadian Cowboys saying another rookie of the year, laugh out loud. What a steal. I can't believe the NBA let us get him. Listen, it's not that they let us. We do what we want. We take what we want. Masai Ujiri's smarter than them. They said, oh, take Jalen Suggs. Take Jalen Suggs. And he didn't listen to them. He did what he knew was the best decision for us. And that's why we trust him, Masai. So it's like, yeah, listen, they may have tried to put Jalen Suggs on our team with their misinformation, their bullshit that they put out by press. And then they gaslighted the Raptors fan nation to thinking that we made a mistake. And we got all upset about it last summer. That was so stupid. That's why we should never doubt Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri when they make their general manager decisions, because they know better than us. And that, listen, they know better than the NBA, because they wanted us to take Suggs, and that would have been a huge fail. That would have been a huge fail. No, we hit it out of the park. We knew who the real blue chipper, the best player in the NBA draft last season was, and it was Scotty Barnes. And we didn't listen to the noise. I love it. Shaman Grant is saying Koloko said he's coming to Toronto for a few days by the end of the month. That's good. We need to get him into OVO Center. We need to get him in there working with Jim Sand and Jim Lee and all the rest of the important coaches for the Raptors as far as strength and conditioning and things like that. So yeah, Koloko, come on up to Toronto and get some good Canadian vibes, baby. Yeah, and this is visa that's held them from coming in specifically. It may be that when he shows up, that's when they'll sign him. That they want to do the press conference in Toronto and have him sign it in Canada on Canadian soil. They don't want him signing his contract in America. They want it signed in Canada. That's part of probably why Koloko hasn't been signed for sure. Shane Waters is saying they shared the ball pretty decent last season. They did not execute on open shots. So many missed shots. Yeah, but even then, like I didn't like our offense last year was really isolation one-on-one. And partly it's because of the way Fred and Pascal like to play. Like Pascal's all about breaking people down and trying to spin around and get to the basket. Well, that's kind of an isolation kind of play. What I'm saying is I want them to make it even easier for themselves. I want them to set up plays that are so badass that they're kind of unstoppable, because we're using this premium talent of versatility that we have in our roster and our lineup. We're going to have these 6'9" Centurions that are all really the same size and versatile. Why don't we dig deeper and find more of the rewards from having that kind of a roster makeup and really find the fruits from easier stuff because of that? That's what I'm saying. A good example of it is the OG bully ball when he gets down court and there's a small guy trying to guard him. He's right underneath the basket, and we toss it to him and he just dunks it on him. That is one of the hidden bonuses of the way that we build our roster and the way we play right now. We need to discover more about what we can make come to fruition with that kind of talent, versatility, and the long arm monster, and just all that stuff that's happening. Because I really feel like there's another level that's actually like a really cool. Like think about how we play defense with the switchability and how so good with switching and how in tune with each other we are on the defensive end. I want to see us be more in tune with each other on the offensive end, as far as playing off of each other, moving without the ball, understanding each other better, and like hitting each other. Because part of it was last year is they just aren't as familiar with each other. With more time, more familiarity, more of it happens and things like that. So stuff like that. But there were a lot of missed shots that would have helped their assist numbers last year for sure. Shane, you're right on that. Lolita's saying back-to-back rookie of the year. Please check the wish bucket. We can't do that. I mean, unless Koloko wins. I was like, somebody was saying, Scotty, you need to win the rookie of the year again this year. I'm like, they said that on this stream when in the video games. It wasn't here. It was like I was like looking at this person, like, what the fuck? You're stupid. You smoke rocks if you think that Scotty Barnes can be a 2-time rookie of the year in a row. But I know what Lolita means here. She's talking about Koloko winning rookie of the year also. That's a long shot. That really is. And it's really going to be a long shot, partly because he's not going to be an offensive type player this year. He's not going to score a lot of points. He's not going to be flashy. He's going to be having a huge impact, but he's not going to get any spotlight for it because he's going to be doing the hard work and doing defensive kind of things. And that if he was scoring 20 points or getting 10 rebounds like some of the other rookies might, then he'd probably get more consideration. But it's not going to happen. So I would not take these odds on this one and stuff like that. So Monique saying, thanks for your rant on the changes. You're welcome, Monique. I appreciate you, and thank you for your write-ups and your ideas and different things like that also. You've had some really, really great reactions to the Summer League games and some really great ideas for different things that they could do differently and stuff like that. Canadian Cowboys saying he's going to love Toronto. I think so. He was at the soccer game yesterday, Christian Koloko. They had I forget what team it was. It was a big team that was visiting in Las Vegas. I was like, wait, Koloko's at a big soccer game. What the hell? Like, I think it was Chelsea or somebody was playing. And I was like, how the hell is he at a soccer game if he's in Las Vegas? Because he's got a game tomorrow. And well, the game was in Las Vegas. That's how he was at the soccer game. So I was like, it looked like he was in UK or something for a second. I was like, holy crap, it's crazy. But yeah, I think he's going to enjoy being in Toronto. And like, once again, he's an international guy. It doesn't hurt that Pascal's here and they have a very similar background being from the same city, and that he can help him with this transition into the NBA in different ways. Pascal can. So I think it's a really good fit in all kinds of different ways. He helps the team so much, and we are a good spot for him to land in the NBA to get a really good NBA career and get developed correctly. Christian, you need to realize this. It's just like what I said to Scotty last year. You're coming to a team that's going to take care of you and increase value for you. You're going to make more money in your NBA career because you got drafted by the Toronto Raptors. So you need to respect and love and appreciate the Raptors team for this opportunity to be with them, because this development squad that you got that's going to work with you in the next couple of years is the top-notch kind of development in the whole NBA. And you might not get the same kind of expertise and help to become a better and better NBA player on another NBA franchise. So respect and love that you are a Raptor, Christian Koloko. Oh yeah. G's saying takes advantage. Okay, he's saying, okay, I like the way Pascal posts up and goes deep to the rim. He can pass out and take advantage of range as teams collapse on him. He's going to be even more unstoppable if the rumors are true that he is going to be coming back with a more reliable three-point shot. That's just going to it's going to make people, like, they already kind of lay off of him and allow him to have the three-point shot because they know that we'll let him have it because he's going to probably miss it in some ways. It's like he has not as high a percentage as he could. Well, if he comes back with a better percentage, he's shooting around 40 plus percentage at three-point range, they won't be able to lay off him anymore. Statistically, it won't be the sound strategy because he'll be given that extra point from threes and consistently. Then they can't lay off him anymore. They had to come and play him. Now all of a sudden he's going around them. He is unstoppable because of his package. And if he's adding a three-point shot this summer, he's just going to be even more unstoppable. He's already one of the top 10 most unstoppable players in the NBA. It's just going to get worse if he's a better outside shooter this season coming up. And I love it. I'm licking my chops thinking about the possibilities of a Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam increase in their field goal percentage from three this summer. Oh yeah. Canadian Cowboy saying best city in the world. Let's go. Rap City, baby. Rap City in the house. Canadian Cowboy is in the house. That's right. Toronto, that's how we do it in the 6, baby. Monique saying, so apparently training camp starts September 27th. So we'll see. There's a lot of time between then and now. And it's really sucks because, like, after today, we're going to be starved for basketball again for like a couple months. And I'll be really striving to try and make the content here interesting because there may not be a whole lot going on. And I may end up doing like little 5 to 10 minute clips on some days because it's just a slow news day and stuff like that. So one thing I want to talk about just real quick before I forget is Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa. Precious just did a new interview in the last day or so with this young kid who was not the best interviewer. He's kind of silly and weird, but it was fun to hear Precious because we don't hear Precious in interviews as much. We haven't seen Precious talk as much, and it was very cool to kind of hear his voice and hear what he cares about and the things that matter to him. So check out the new interview Precious Achiuwa just did in the last day or so. I think it's about 15 minutes. He talks about hot dogs because this was a whole thing, talking about whether hot dogs are a sandwich or not. And he talks about growing up in New York and why he thinks a hot dog is what it is because of growing up in New York. He talks about playing for Penny Hardaway at Memphis. He talks about different things about around the league and stuff like that. Precious is a cool dude. He's a really, really cool dude. And once again, we're so happy he's on the Raptors and stuff like that. So check out this latest video. Maybe I'll put it in the comments after I'm done so you guys can find it real easy. And you can watch the new Precious interview that just came out. Josh Monroe is saying Otto Porter will help some of that as well as having Thad back helps some of those assist numbers outside our young guys like Scotty. If he takes that next step and if Fred improves as a floor general. Yeah, Otto Porter is going to help in leadership ways. He's going to help with floor spacing ways. He's going to help with 3-point shooting at really critical, important times. Like he's the kind of guy like Thad Young that when we're struggling on offense, Nick Nurse can bring them in off the bench, and all of a sudden maybe they can get us some points when nobody else is able to score. Just because they have that veteran savvy, that experience, they have that poise in pressure, or maybe when things are falling apart around them, they don't care. And they're just like, well, we're going to do what we do. And they make a shot and they get us out of the hole. It's kind of like Fred did that a lot last season, too. So we may need these guys just to stop the bleeding of having like a 3-minute period where we don't score any points and stuff like that. Otto Porter Jr. could become very useful and helpful in these drought situations with our offense. So I'm going to be very excited to see that. And Thad in some ways is going to take a back seat this season. Like in some ways, he's the odd man out. Like he's really good to have on the team for leadership, but I would not expect him to be a really, really huge contributor this season as far as minutes and playing a lot. He's really going to be kind of like a utility backup guy with the other guys getting more of the minutes, especially with Otto on the scene now. That Otto may be eating into Thad Young's minutes from last year, and to a degree, but that'll still get played, and he'll still be an important part of this team. It's just his role may diminish a little bit slightly from last season, just so y'all know. Lolita's saying $750 for a ticket. Wow, too rich for me. That's insane. That's insanity, Drake. Like, how much money are you making from streaming on all these services and stuff like that? Man, you got enough money. Why are you doing this? It's kind of like the same thing when I'm sitting in these streams with Chris Boucher and Scotty Barnes, and they're like, subscribe. And like, these motherfuckers need my money? Like, seriously, on Twitch. Do they need me to give them $5 for a subscription? Do they really need that? I mean, Chris just got paid. Scotty's got money. They're okay and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. It's the same kind of thing with, Drake. I'm like, do you need that much money for your OVO? Come on. Sue's saying, I love Precious. He looks scary when he doesn't smile, but when he laughs, his whole face lights up. He cracks me up. Looks like a little kid. I'll check out his interview. Yeah, he's funny. Like one of the things he said, they asked, which player, past or present, would you like to play on a team with in the NBA, in the history of the NBA? And Precious goes, I want to play with Shaq. He would want to play with Shaq because he loves his dominance. And I think this kind of informs us to the way that Precious values basketball and what kind of play he likes, that he really values Shaq, that he liked the way he was so dominant and just, he said he's a fun guy and he's nice and he'd be a cool teammate to have. And it'd just be cool to play next to him, is what he was saying. But it makes me think about, well, look at Precious's game and the way he plays. And maybe if he really appreciates or likes the dominance of Shaq and that characteristic about him, why wouldn't he try and mimic that in his own game? And that may inform part of the reason why he's so explosive and so strong, and so like some of the things he does with his dunks and stuff like that, is that he may be like, people like Shaq inspire him to be a dominant person and stuff like that. So that's very interesting to me, that out of all the players in the history of the NBA, he said Shaquille O'Neal was who he would want to play with because of how dominant he is. That really speaks a lot to the psychology of Precious Achiuwa and what he values on the court. And that, he would like to be more and more dominant as he gets older as an NBA player. I'm sure he would. Oh, yeah, he would. Yes, he would. Yeah, I'll post that, Sue, in the comments so you can find it real easy. The interviewer is a little dorky and kind of, I hate when these interviews kind of get into like they're talking about their own lives and stuff like that. Like, dude, you're here to interview Precious. We don't give a shit about you and your writing career and stuff like that. We don't give a shit about that stuff. Just interview Precious, ask him questions. You're nobody, dude. Come on now. That kind of thing. Cowboy saying, what do you think about Chris Bouchard or whatever his name is, talking about African Americans living in Toronto? What a dumbass. Any culture would love it here. It's one, if not the most multicultural city in the world. Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with anything Canadian Cowboys saying here. Chris Bouchard and what he said was a couple of different things. Part of it is the information war to sewer the Raptors, to hurt our chances for free agents and stuff like that, just to put out bullshit. It's just like Fox News putting out bullshit about, the caravan of people coming from South, or they just make up bullshit to scare people or affect their opinions on how they feel about different things. It's like the big thing is right now is replacement theory, which is so fucked up, insidious, and gross that they make people fear things. Well, Chris Bouchard is an information agent for ESPN. And part of their mandate is to sewer us and not make us an attractive team in the league in different ways in the United States. That we are the bad guys, we are the heels, we are Darth Vader, we are the team that needs to be treated as the bad guys. And in some ways, it's an information war of perception, that they want Americans to perceive Canada as a certain kind of city in a certain way. And what people have been here understand it. People that played here understand it. People that know it understand it. That he just really is showing an ignorance, like that he's ignorant, that he's just stupid, like he's a dumbass, or that he's xenophobic. Xenophobic is the other answer, that he just has a xenophobe is basically somebody who lives in one place. They may live in the United States and never leave the town that they live in. They may live in a little small podunk town in South Georgia, and they never ever leave that damn Grady County or whatever county they live in, and they just live in that area, and they think they know the rest of the world, and they just realize, oh, America's just the best all around, and that they will argue it even though they have no evidence of this because they've never gone anywhere else. They have no idea. That's part of how they protect their American exceptionalism and idealism, is by being a closed off xenophobe. And that's really what's happening here, is what Chris Bouchard said was xenophobic. In fact, in some ways it was anti-Canadian, and that if it wasn't a nationality, it was kind of racist in a way, what he said in some ways, like if it was a race or something like that. That's the thing. That's the danger of this kind of stuff, is that it shapes and molds young minds. If somebody didn't have the experience that understand that he's full of shit, they may believe what he's saying. And it perpetuates that kind of mentality or thinking about Toronto as a city. And you're exactly right. We may be number one or in the top 10 of the cities in the world that are very international, multicultural. Every single citizen from the entire world is here. I joke to people, it's like, Toronto's one of the last cities that will get bombed by any other country in the world, because we have people from every single country here. That if somebody wanted to bomb Toronto from Iran, they'd be like, well, we got a lot of Iranian people here, so we don't want to do that. So it's like, in some ways, that we're everybody everywhere, all of us. So why would they want to attack us? So it is really dumb take. I'm so glad that everybody's come down on him and just realize this is the vehicle, and this is a really good bad example of perception wars, of people trying to shape and mold people's thoughts about certain things by putting out bullshit like this, and apply this to every other thing politically or socially in the world right now, and realize how the media does this in all kinds of different areas. Exactly what Chris Bouchard did. So there you go, Canadian Cowboy. I don't know if that's what you wanted from your comment, but that's what you got. Yeah. Monique's saying, what do you think the 905 are waiting for with everything? They are very slow with everything this summer. I think there's a schedule of things, Monique, that like the 905 have got to wait till summer league's over. They don't know who's going to be on their team and the makeup of stuff. That it's just the normal schedule of how they go through the summer. Like the 905, there's tons of time to figure out 905 in the next month after the game today. There's not going to be a whole lot going on. They can take the time to figure out who's going to be on the 905 roster, who's going to be the coach, and stuff like that. And they really, the big piece that we got to find out for 905 is that second two-way contract. Who is it going to be that gets signed to that? Is it going to be Jeff Doughton, or is it going to be Christian Koloko? And those are the two best options for it right now. They're the two most likely options, and I'm leaning more and more towards Koloko getting it, because he's a second round pick, and it'll do him really good to be able to freely come between the 905 and the regular roster. That he would really help the main roster, but he does need the meat of his time to be in Mississauga. That'll benefit him so much more, getting development and confidence and learning his offense better at the NBA level, if he can try it out at a lesser level for a little bit and not just trying to do it on the big stage right away. So it's a lot of stuff like that. Oh my gosh. All right, so yeah, they got to wait till summer league's over. Then they'll figure out 905 stuff, and it could happen as soon as this week. Who knows? Canadian Cowboys saying also Precious and Loco Koloko. Let's go. We're going to the finals. Trust me, I feel like this too. Like I really do. Like I feel like there's a special aura around this Raptor team with their camaraderie, just how locked in and together these guys are. Even with this KD saga in the last month or so, that it can't pull them apart, that they're too tight, they're too friendly and too much like each other. That we're going to have these guys come in and they can just have fun, but they also really care about winning. They're serious. That's the right combo. That they have fun, they have chemistry together, they enjoy being together, they enjoy traveling together, they enjoy playing together, but they also, that main mantra that comes from the very top with Masai Ujiri is win, 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 win. And that's what they're all about ultimately. And that's all they care about, along with that camaraderie. That is the kind of building towards a champion, is that if you have that kind of feel on your team and that dedication to winning at the same time. And if you have the right kind of role players and the right kind of pieces on the team to help you get there, then you got it. And that's what I'm saying. People don't realize how quickly we can get better. Like they all want to look at our team and just think, oh, these guys aren't going to get anywhere. Like people that don't understand the potential of Scotty Barnes right now in the States and think we overvalue them are really crazy, because they're going to find out more and more as the time comes. Like I'll timestamp what I said and what you said, and we'll see who's right in about 2 or 3 years. Some of these people think that Scotty Barnes is not going to be any good, that he's going to end up being a bust. That's wishful thinking from their end. That they want that to happen. Milwaukee fan. They're like, oh, I don't see what everybody thinks, but Scotty's going to be so good. Well, you go ahead and keep sleeping on him and let him come up and wake you up real quick with a nightmare of what he's going to do to your team on the court. Because that's the thing. It's the same kind of thing I would do the other way, like Chet Holmgren. I'm saying, like, I don't think Chet Holmgren is going to be that good. I think he's going to be a bust. That is my perception and me putting that out there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. It could very well mean that he's going to be fine. He'll be good. That's just me saying that because of his defensive problems with having no size. He's going to be pushed over like a reed in the wind and stuff like that. So it's that kind of thing. It's like other teams will sewer other teams' prospects just because it's a perception war once again. And they really are coming down on Scotty in a perception war and trying to tell us we're crazy for thinking he's going to be so good. Well, they're crazy because they don't see it. And I do. I remember what a player like Larry Bird was like on the court and all the intangibles and things that he brought with his leadership. I remember the things that Irvin Magic Johnson brought to the Lakers when he played for him, when he wore the purple and gold and ran up and down the court, and all the ways he made his teammates better. That is the kind of player that Scotty Barnes is. So if you think about it, he had a rookie year. He was real solid. If he's going to get better in the next 2 years and he's going to have an exponential effect on his teammates around him, he's going to make them all better. And that's what the NBA doesn't realize, why the Raptors do not need more superstars, because we're going to develop within and we're going to be badasses, partly because Scotty gives an extra to every single one of the other guys because he's on the court with them. So, yeah, it's stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me get hyped about a Raptors 2023 championship. Oh, yeah. That is, oh, you mentioned that. I will talk about that. I will talk about that. Lolita saying, I can't wait to see our boys play, to see how they work together with Dr. Nurse's playbook. Oh, Raptors. Yes, Lolita. Yes, the season can't come fast enough. Raptor fans have been enjoying the summer league. It's been a lot of fun, and it's so good. But, man, so many people are like, can we just start the NBA again now, please? Oh, my gosh. Monique saying, quit your job already, Chris Bouchard. Simple as that. No, listen, he probably got a bonus for being like that. This is what the head honchos want. In fact, their favorites are probably the people that put down the Raptors the most, because this is what they want for bottom line. Because in some ways it gets down to economics in Canada, economics in the U.S. They win a championship, or the Raptors are healthy and we win a championship here, that goes good things for the GDP of Canada and not for the United States. So in some ways it's a bottom line, like economic reason why they don't want the Raptors to be successful or win another championship. So they will do the perception war any which way to try and steer us away. They say, no, they can talk about the top Eastern Conference teams and power rankings all they want. They don't want to put the Raptors in there because it legitimizes us and maybe even makes us a real contender because they said it. Well, we are a real contender. They just won't admit it. is what it is. Oh, yeah. Lolita's saying, you're so right, Sue, about Precious. Love that guy. Yeah, I love Precious too. He's amazing. He's just a cool dude. He's got a real style. He said, I've got the best swag in the NBA, y'all. I'm the best dressed. And in some ways, he's right. Have you seen some of the pictures he's taken over the course of this year and the fashion plate and style that he's been? I mean, Gary and him are very equal with their drip. Their drip is very drippy, drip, drip. And Precious is saying, he's like, I've got a very wide faucet with lots of drip coming out of it. And that he does, because like, those guys are styling. Like, they are fashion plates is what I will call them. Oh, yeah. Canadian Cowboy saying, I love it. Well put together. Hey, I appreciate Canadian Cowboy. This is a two-way street. You guys are like, we are like a straight man and a funny man. You tell me a joke and I say what I say next. You get me something to react to. So this is nothing without you guys. It's a two-way street, and it's not just a one-man show. That's for sure. And I really appreciate you being here this morning, Canadian Cowboy. Good comments, and I hope you'll come back. Just keep coming back. Every morning we're here, and we're always talking Raptors. So if you're jonesing to talk Raptors or think about the Raptors, this is the place to be. Sue saying Chris Bouchard and his co-star were talking trash about Draymond Green and his opinions on KD. They're basically saying he should shut up because no one wants to hear it. He needs to take his own advice. Yes, Sue, yes. That is the kettle calling the pot black. That is for sure. The Chris Bouchard, maybe you need to listen to yourself. And, you stepped in a little doo-doo lately with what you said about Toronto and just how stupid you sound. Like, honestly, in some ways, what you did was good because you just made everybody realize how dumb you are. And maybe whenever you come on TV, everybody's like, yeah, this is the guy who said that stuff about Toronto, and he's an idiot. So I wouldn't take anything he says with a grain of salt and stuff like that. So Canadian Cowboys saying, Sky's going to be the face of the NBA. He's going to be it whether they like it or not, because the man is just so effervescent. He's just so attractive as a young star in the league that they're going to want to make money off him. And if he's in Toronto, then boom, it's going to be a similar kind of thing to Vince Carter. That Vince was on the Raptors, but he was the most electric player in the NBA at that time, and they had to put him on blast because they could not deny his shine. And this is going to be the same damn thing that happens with Scotty. They won't be able to deny his shine and who he is. Now, it's a little bit different because Vince was so overt. It was so flashy with the dunks. Now, Scotty can get some of that way, but he's going to be more of a grinder, like workman kind of guy that's going to get the shine that way. But the results will be undeniable. And what I have described about his effect, like a Magic or Larry kind of effect on a team, is coming, y'all. There's just all the signs are there. He's that same kind of player. And that these kind of players are rare in the NBA today. And that may be even more the reason why Scotty stands out, is because he's going to be playing an old school kind of way that other players don't play that way anymore these days. They're more focused on their own scoring and stuff like that. Scotty's a very unselfish player that is going to do things that are going to be a little different than Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley. And that they're going to realize, yeah, they did get Rookie of the Year right, and that it would have been a travesty if they had given it to Evan Mobley or Cade Cunningham in the years to come. They're going to realize it more and more. And they're saying, oh, it's going to be the opposite way. Everybody's going to realize, oh, they should have gave it to Cade instead of Scotty. No, that's not what they're going to realize as time passes. Trust me. They're going to more and more reinforce that they got the right one. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, let's see. Monique saying, news and notes, Marc Gasol playing so well in Spain and 37. He's 37 years old. He's out there playing for Team Spain and FIBA, I guess, qualifier stuff, because he's still going to play on the Olympic team, I guess. And he should, because he's a valuable player for that level, and like his leadership and his years of playing on that team. I love how the guys who played with him posted his highlights. Fred VanVleet and Chris Boucher both celebrating Marc Gasol as a champion teammate from the 2019 Raptor champions, and like celebrating his work in Spain this past day. And they're like, Fred was kind of laughing at him, but he's also like, at 37, this is impressive that Marc is still out there doing some amazing things and stuff like that. Really cool stuff. Congratulations, Marc Gasol. Always will be a Raptor champion and legend in my book, just like Yuta Watanabe. Canadian Cowboys saying, love that kid. I was jumping around when we drafted him. I wanted him from the jump. Suggs, please. Yeah, I was happy they got Scotty for a couple different reasons. I didn't pay attention to all the hype last year because like I was getting sick of it. It was so divisive and people were so angry with each other about the draft last year. I was like, this is stupid. Let's just trust in Bobby Masai and see what happens. Well, we saw what happened. It was amazing. So yeah, I liked Scotty from the start because I saw his body. I was like, this dude's an NBA player. This dude's gonna be good. And he's from Florida State. I went to Florida State. So what was not to like about Scotty Barnes for me personally? I was like, I could see the real talent that is inside him that could possibly be found over the years coming up. So stuff like that. Yeah, Dominic's saying he's all wet. He's so wet. I don't know if we're talking about Precious and his drip or we're talking about Scotty Barnes and his potential as an NBA superstar and golden boy and just a face of the league. This is what I'm saying right here. Dominic is coming in strong. All right, Top saying good morning to everybody. So if Jeff Doughton doesn't get the two-way over Koloko, can he still make the team? Will they have to cut Svi? Okay, so if we give the two-way to Koloko, the reason why this is good for Doughton is that he would get a regular contract for the team. And Doughton is the kind of guy that has played in the league like for how many years? How many years is Doughton's? Okay, he played 1 year on G League last year for Orlando. Maybe he could be on G League just straight up and somebody would call up and stuff like that. But I think that it would benefit him better if the two-way goes to Koloko and he gets a regular contract and he's just on the main roster and he doesn't even play on G League this year down. Because that could be the path that it goes that way. Like that maybe work out for him better that he doesn't get the two-way contract because he gets a full contract and he's just on the regular roster. So that's the way I look at it with that. And I think, yeah, they need to cut Svi. They need to buy him out and just have that open roster spot because we got guys like DJ Wilson, Armani Brooks, Jeff Doughton that all look like they could maybe possibly help us better than Svi Mahalik this season. So Top saying Chris Boucher, just like Stephen A. Smith, doesn't want a Canadian team. It's obvious. That's the underlying thing that the haters of Toronto are that they want this to be a solely American sport. Maybe, they complain about this. Like the girl was talking to Vince Carter on his podcast about playing for Canada and customs and how annoying that is playing for the only Canadian team and how often you have to go to customs. Well, Vince was like, well, that's just something you get used to. You just understand that customs is just a part of being on this team. And it's just how it is. It's just like when I went to Orlando, Stan Van Gundy ran suicides or did this kind of thing. We hated it there, but it's just something you get used to. It's just part of the scenery, the landscape for being on that team. And that people can make a big deal out of it. Oh, it's cold up here. Well, it's fucking cold in Milwaukee. It's fucking cold in New York. It's cold in Boston. It's cold in Minnesota. That's a stupid fucking thing to say. Okay, well, the taxes. All right, the taxes, I can kind of get behind. That's the reason why you may be like a little have a problem with Canada and stuff like that. But a lot of it is that they just want it to be an American league. That maybe even when we won the championship in 2019, it irritated them. Like it got them even more anti-Raptors. Like, some people were really upset when the Blue Jays won a couple of World Series, and they're like, we can't ever let this happen again because the World Series is a baseball's American pastime. Why is a Canadian team the World Series champion? And stuff like that. So it's a similar kind of mentality is that like we want to keep it in America and American and stuff like that. And these broadcasters are an extension of that force and that mentality in the public eye on television. And that's what's going on there. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Lolita's saying no contest. Scotty over Vince. Well, this is what I've said in the past. That Vince is sizzle and Scotty is steak. That, Vince was very showy and flashy and exciting. And he was fundamentally good in a lot of ways. And he was a great player. But it is a different kind of thing with Scotty. Scotty is like a hard worker. He's a grinder. He's doing all kinds of glue things. He's a team all-around guy. He's not necessarily a guy who's going to get a lot of accolades and attention for him specifically on the court. That may be Pascal Siakam still. But that's the thing. He's the steak. And Vince is more like a sizzle to me. Top saying they want Scotty in the U.S. market, hence these dumb trade proposals, i.e. from Jalen Rose. Yeah. And the whole thing with Jalen and Jacoby this week was like devaluing Scotty Barnes, like on the download. Like they are insulting him. That, they think that Kevin Durant is worth Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes. That's insanity. but that is also very calculated once again to start perception and maybe downplay Scotty's value in the eyes of the NBA as general, so that maybe other teams think that they can get him or fleece us to get him some way, somehow. That's not happening. In fact, this dude's probably got a no trade like on the down low with Masai Ujiri. He's like, we're not trading Scotty no matter what. So y'all can just try and figure it out and stuff like that. It could be that they want Scotty to come to the U.S. for media reasons, for marketing reasons, and that when his contracts start coming up, that's going to be the time when we're really going to have to weather the storm. Like when his rookie contract's coming up and he's a free agent coming up, we need to just shut the door on all this kind of stuff, throw the max money at him, and just get him into the fold as quickly as possible, because we don't want Laker Nation thirsting over there. We don't want Miami Heat Nation saying, come home, Scotty. We don't want any of that kind of bullshit going on, and it is going to go on. That is inevitable, and there's going to be a ton of it, and I see it in the stream on Twitch. When he's playing video games, Laker fan comes in there and says, when are you going to put on the purple and gold, come play with LeBron? Stuff like that. I'm like, ugh. And that's why I'm in there telling them to shut the fuck up and saying all kinds of stuff. Like I'll burn Laker fans when they come in there and stuff like that. And like I said, the mods are on my side. They're more likely to delete Laker fan than Raptor freak on there and stuff like that. So, but I'm putting the fight in the perception war, even on the ground level with Scotty in the room with me and stuff like that. So it's crazy. Dominic saying, how long this season can they ignore the Raptors? It's hard when we will be top four and eventually go in the finals. Yeah. Well, they'll ignore us as long as possible, Dominic. They will until they have to. I mean, that's evidence as our championship run in 2019. We will make them have to pay attention to us. We will make them have to cover us. We will make them have to respect us. And in a way, that's more badass than any other team in the league, is that we get slighted. If this is some sort of 80s movie and we're the hero, we're getting dumped on, we're getting bullied, we're getting pushed around by the big bad NBA, and then we rise up and we're like Lil Mac and Punch Out, and we're punching ball bull out. And that's what I'm saying, is that we're the underdog and we're the team that comes up and proves all the doubters wrong. And that's why I love being in this position as a Raptors fan. Is it sure, go ahead and sleep on us. Sure, go ahead and not give us the credit that we deserve. We'll go and take that credit before the season's over. Trust me, we will. And Dominic, I don't know. If I'm going to put a bet on this, it depends on how quick we get out of the gates. Now, if we're the number one NBA Eastern Conference team around Christmas and New Year's, they may have to start talking about us, especially if we've been sitting there for a month or so. But they've done this in the past. We've been number one in the East, and then Milwaukee will come and leap us all of a sudden and steal it from us. And then they'll go goo goo gaga over Milwaukee, even though they were ignoring us being at the top for like 2 or 3 months. And that was a couple seasons ago. I think that was in 2020 that happened. So, yeah, don't expect it, and we don't need it, because we know the reality and we know what we're doing. We're putting in the work. We're going to show up. We're going to get W's, and it all stack those W's, and then boom, all of a sudden we are a contender, and it's undeniable that we are a force and that we are going to be playing for something in the postseason and stuff like that. So, Monique's saying, take this in, guys. 3 rings for Jordan Lloyd and officially married now. What? Jordan Lloyd has 3 rings? How did he get 3 rings? You mean Patrick McCaw, right? Not Jordan Lloyd. Because Patrick McCaw's the one who has 3 rings. And did he get married? No, Jordan Lloyd's getting married. But Patrick McCaw's the one who has 3 rings. I think Lloyd's only got 1. I may be wrong, though. Monique may know something more than I do. Dominic's saying, yeah, they want Scotty in America. They really do. Like, they do in a lot of ways. But, there's a couple things in our favor. Like, listen, Scotty really is into Canada. Like, he loves Degrassi. He loves Toronto. He loves the things about Toronto. He's in Montreal right now, having a blast in Montreal with his buddies. He could be in the States right now. In fact, some of his Palm Beach friends are like, when are you coming back to home to visit us? And he's like, I don't know. I may not be back there for a while. So it's not like he's in a hurry to get back to Palm Beach area, South Florida, or something like that. He's all about being in Toronto and being seen at Shoppers Drug Mart and riding a scooter around Toronto and going to Montreal, going to Vegas and doing Summer League and stuff like that. He is all about the team. and being a part of the Raptors franchise and doing all the activities that have to do with the team. I'm sure that there's some stuff that they have to do this summer that is not mandatory. And Scotty's like, you know what? I want to come and do it, and I'll be there and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. And I think honestly, he would have played in summer league if they had asked him. But it's just not necessary. It was not necessary for him to be playing in summer league. It would look weird and stupid. Honestly, he would have dropped some crazy numbers, and it would have been crazy. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Yeah. G saying a lot of new fans from New Jersey are also giving it to Broussard. Good, good. This is a great contingency to add to Raptors Nation. Rutgers Nation is a fantastic crew of fans. Like, we have crazy badass Raptors fans on Twitter that are always doing crazy stuff, like talking so much trash, coming and getting people, very active on social media. Well, now we have that New Jersey edge with the Rutgers Nation added to our fan nation with Ron Harper Jr., and that these people really know how to give it to people. Yeah, go ahead, New Jersey. Give it to Chris Bouchard and his stupid ass. Oh, yeah, I like it. Canadian Cowboy, thank you. Yes, please hit that red subscribe button if you like anything I've been saying and stuff like that. It's the best way you can help my channel, is just give me some subscriptions so I can get to 1,000 and get all the bells and whistles on YouTube and do different cool things eventually and stuff like that. Cowboy saying, check out NBA Chev channel. He speaks the truth like you, brother. Good job. Keep up the work. I watch Chev. I watched Chev for a couple years now. I don't watch him currently because I don't want to rip him off. Like, I love his voice and I love what he's saying. As a New York fan in New York, that has turned into being a Raptor fan because he was sick of the dysfunction of the New York Knicks, and that he is converted to being a Raptor fan. And he's never even been to Toronto, and he hasn't been a Raptor fan that long. He just started in the bubble season. And I love Chev. I love his passion. I love his way of putting things and stuff like that. We're a different brand and flavor in different ways, him and I, but we have a lot of similarities. And I love getting mentioned in the same sentences as him because he is somebody I see is doing something that, hopefully, someday if I get numbers like Chev, that'd be fantastic. But I'm not here to do that necessarily. I'm here to have a common area, a space for positive Raptor fans to meet on a daily basis and kibitz and talk about whatever we want to talk about without all the toxicity of Raptor Nation, where we're like down on our players, trade this guy, or we don't think that our team can win. That we're like, oh, well, we're good, but we won't make the playoffs, or oh, we can't win a championship. We're not like that here. We're pie in the sky, optimistic, positive Raptor fans, and that's what this space is for. And that is why I'm doing this. It's not for money. It's not for subscriptions. It's not for any of that. This is for having a place that I wanted for myself online. I was like, I would love to have this kind of YouTube channel out there. And I said, well, why don't you just fucking make it, Lex? And that's what I did. So that's why it's here, Canadian Cowboy. And I appreciate the kind words and stuff like that. Hit that red subscribe button. And yes, Chev, I love Chev. And getting mentioned with him is a huge compliment. I appreciate you. Yeah. Canadian Cowboy saying, it's funny how you said that because we invented basketball. I know. James Naismith is Canadian. He invented it in Springfield, Massachusetts, though. So it was invented in the U.S. by a Canadian. So it is in some ways kind of shared sport between us, the two nations. And that, basketball is a very Canadian sport in a lot of ways. And people don't want to say that. Maybe hockey people don't want to say that, but it is. It just has been a part. We were in the NBA the very first season, and the first NBA game was played at Maple Leaf Gardens, the Knicks versus the Huskies in 1946. So there is Canada intertwined in the history of the NBA in a lot of different places. As much as Jalen Rose and Chris Broussard hate it, Canada is a part of the DNA and heritage of basketball, and they can't change that. And that's the other thing I didn't say on Friday about Jalen Rose is partly he's salty towards the Raptors because we got a chip and some rings, and we're going to get another one, and he never did as a player. That Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet can say, we're champions. We got rings on our finger, Jalen, and you never did that in your NBA career. So there you go, Jalen Rose. That one's for you. Oh, yeah. G saying, same or similar taxes as L.A. and New York. Stephen A. Smith complains about customs, shows how spoiled some of these people are. Really, that's your biggest issue while getting paid millions? Yeah, there's all kinds of dumb arguments. Like I said, they're pathetic arguments, and that they really show that like they really don't have a basis and that they're kind of stupid. So yeah, most players that have come to Toronto have really enjoyed playing for the Raptors throughout their whole history. There have been times where there's been guys who've not enjoyed it and not been wanting to be here, like Jalen Rose. But if you went and took like a random 10 Raptor players from the past, from different years, and you talk to them, they would probably have mostly good things to say about being on the Raptors and stuff like that. So yeah, it is silly. And yeah, the taxes are similar to New York and LA. So, and the same thing with the vaccination rules and stuff like that. So let's see. Monique saying, yes, we will be a top 4 team this season. Dominic, yeah, I believe in this in the East for sure. We'll be a top 4. Jennifer Luskis. I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. I'll just say Jennifer L. Good to see you. Welcome. We're here every morning, 9:30. Let me see what you're saying. Opinions on Raptors' last summer league game. I think Knicks lose summer league championship to Trailblazers. I love this. This is a really great first comment. I'm hoping that we see some of the guys we didn't get to see a whole lot. I don't really care about winning this game. Of course, we want to win, but it's like I'd like to see Ryan Hawkins get some good run today. I want to really get a good look at him because we need to analyze whether he should be on this team or not. And Abu Kajab needs to get some minutes today. Like, we have not seen enough of him at all in Summer League. We have no idea what this guy is. And so it's kind of like I said earlier, it's going to be a balance between trying to win the game and also getting enough of these guys that we may not have seen enough in Summer League out there to see some more of them. That's historically kind of how the last Summer League game is that some of the guys who didn't get to play a lot in Summer League, they get more play in the last game. And I think I'm going to go with you on the Blazers beating the Knicks in the finals of the Summer League today. They actually played each other already in the Summer League. It's funny that this championship game, they're actually going to play again because they played already. And Portland did beat New York before. So, yeah, and we want New York to lose because they're a division rival and stuff like that. Go Trailblazers. Why not? So, yeah, that's the way I look at it, Jennifer. I'm sure let me know what you think and stuff like that. It's not just what I think. I want to know what you think, too. Monique saying, yes, Lex, Jordan Lloyd has 3 rings from playing overseas, and he's officially married now. Okay, so you were saying Lloyd, not McCaw. And it wasn't just the NBA ring that he won with the Raptors. He has other rings from winning championships other places. Cool. Well, congratulations to random guy in a suit for getting married and having 3 rings. Yeah. The Monty Python, bam. Yes. Now for something completely different. Good being back with y'all. Good being back with you, Monty Python. I love you, Monty Python. John Cleese, Graham Chapman, Michael Palin, Terry Jones. Yes, those are my guys. Eric Idle. Yes, Terry Gilliam. Ooh, I just named all of Monty Python. Yes, I did. Seymour Pape saying, I'm so mad that the NBA found a way to screw us. Okay, Seymour was mad in his comment this weekend. I've seen this. That we should be in the Summer League Finals. They got to fix that process. Who scored more is dumb. Teams had different schedule strengths, so it ain't fair. Seymour, I'm with you, man. Honestly, I think the whole thing is just dumb. This isn't kind of not worth getting all upset about. Honestly, this doesn't even matter. It's the Summer League. Who cares? Like, it's not like these guys, if they win rings today, like, they can brag about it. Like, can you win a Summer League championship ring and wear it anywhere? People will laugh at you. Come on. Like, one of these guys on the Blazers wins the Summer League ring today, and they go to like the gym or something like that, and they're playing a pickup game. They show up and they're like, yeah, like, oh, what's your ring? It's like, oh yeah, Summer League 2022. Yeah, I won Summer League. And they're like, who gives a shit? They start laughing at him. It doesn't even matter. Like, so to me, in some ways, maybe we're avoiding like humiliation because this may be the only year they give rings to Summer League. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They continue to do this, it's just gonna be a joke. Honestly, there's gonna be some sort of weird eBay sales, or like, oh, you have a Portland Trailblazers Summer League championship ring from 2022, and like, who you go and look at the eBay bids, and it's like $10. Like, nobody wants it. It's like I don't know. I understand why you're upset because you want fairness, Seymour. I do too. But there is no possible way they could do this fair with the amount of games. Like Monique's saying, they need more Summer League games. And I agree. If they're going to give rings and try and make it any kind of semblance, this is the best Summer League team. Well, you can't determine that with so many damn teams playing, and a lot of teams won't play each other. And then, like I said the other day, you factor in whether key players on these Summer League teams are playing or not. Chet Holmgren may not be playing every single Summer League game. So it's like, it's so dumb and asinine to have a team win like rings and stuff like that. As I said the other day, I really wish they do an all summer league, first team, second team, and third team. That would be more informative and a better way to celebrate achievement at the summer league than just giving a team rings. It's stupid. It's so dumb. In fact, I think this is going to be a big fail, guys, and that we won't see summer league rings ever again after this season. This may be the one time, and then maybe that would be cool because of that. Because this is so dumb. Why are you doing this, NBA? It's stupid. It's so dumb. These guys that get these rings, they shouldn't be proud of them because it's really not bragging anything that interesting or great, because you don't know whether they were the actual best team in summer league. Like, you can make every kind of argument, every kind of which way. Well, are you really the best team in summer league, Portland? What would have happened if you had played this team on this team or this team? There's so many woulda, coulda, shoulda. And it's no cut and dry like the NBA Finals and getting a champion that way. So it's stuff like that. I'm with you, Seymour. I would just say, let's not get upset about this. This is stupid. There's no reason to. Canadian Cowboys saying, what time's the game on? It's at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Milwaukee Bucks, baby. And as I did a preview earlier, I'm just going to say real quick, players on the Bucks to watch out for is they got that Mama Luke guy, Sando Mama Luke. I call him Mama Luke because I don't say his name, Mama Luke Vescelli or something like that. He's the big dude that was on the Bucks last year. And he's annoying. He's been their leading scorer in the summer league. And then they've got Juan Hernandez, who was a draft pick by the Raptors a couple years ago. He's on their team. They got Lindell Wigginton, who's a Canadian guy who's had some big games for them in summer league. And then the other player on the summer league roster for Milwaukee, there's 4 players of note, is Marjan Beauchamp, their first round pick from this past draft. So those 4 players are the guys to look out for on the Bucks today is Mama Luke, Juan Hernandez, Wigginton, and then the first round pick, Beauchamp. So that'll be interesting and pretty interesting. Jennifer saying, I agree too. Thanks. Love your show as well. Thank you, Jennifer. Please hit subscribe and join us whenever you can, 9:30 a.m. every single morning. I'll be on at least for a little while. You may not get me right at 9:30, but I'm still on after 11 right now. So Tom Duke saying, what awesome to see you, Monty Python. Yeah, it's so good to see names that kind of come around and come and go. It's just how it goes. Like, we didn't see I'm a Fun Guy for a little bit during the season, and now he's back all of a sudden around recently and stuff like that. That's a great thing. I want you guys to know that I'm here. That if you guys can't watch me regularly, or it's just boring time of the year, it's not really interesting. But if it is a time where you're starving to get some Raptors content, I'll be here at least, and it's steady. Top saying, if you had to pick, what do you think is the weakest, thinnest position on the Raps currently? Well, this is the thing. Because of our makeup, top, I wouldn't even say that positions matter anymore. In fact, this is what's really making people have a hard time understanding us. It started last season with our roster build. The way that people looked at us on paper, trying to analyze us for how we would do during the season, was really dumb. They did it by looking at positions, and they looked at our team and they're like, well, they don't have enough guards. Why do they have so many wings? Why do they have so many 6'7" guys? And stuff like that? That's stupid roster building. Like, they didn't understand what we're trying to do because they didn't put much thought into it. They just looked at the piece of paper and they said, well, look at this. They have a deficiency in guards and centers. They just have all forwards. So they're going to suck. And that's why they ranked us so low last season. And then we proved that that's not the reality of this, that we're building a roster that's a little bit different than most NBA teams, and that there's nothing wrong with it. That the versatility of Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, these kind of guys allow for us to have a whole different kind of team. So that in some ways, when your question, top, I don't think that it matters. That if we are weak at point guard or if we're weak at center, just because we don't have that much depth at those traditional positions, I don't think it actually matters. So to answer your question, if I had to pick one, it's point guard. Obviously, that we're weakest at the traditional point guard spot because we have Fred and Malachi, and then we have these other guys that could jump in, and that would make it easily say, okay, we aren't weak at point guard because we have Jeff Downton all of a sudden. But I would say that if you really had to pick a traditional spot, it would be either point guard or center. And the center is really because it's Koloko and Khem Birch, and we don't have as much depth there. But does it matter? That's what I'm saying. We're so thick and big in the middle that it bleeds over. If Scotty and Pascal are point forwards, do we need the other point guards? and stuff like that. So it's a trick question to me. And if you look at it the way the general NBA and the NBA media in the US looks at it, they're going to say we're fucked up and that our team is not balanced very well. And that's fine. Go ahead and let them keep thinking that because they don't understand our wing emporium. They don't understand. They come into the door and they go up to the counter and they see the menu and they say Otto Porter Parmesan wing. I like that. That sounds like a great flavor. Thad Young teriyaki. I like that wing flavor too. Maybe some Pascal Siakam spicy hot wings. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're running a wing store right now. We got all the flavors of wings, different kind of wings. You want us to put a wing? We can get whatever flavor you like, and you will get it. You want some OG Ananobi mango salsa wings? That's what we got. We got OG Ananobi mango salsa wings. We got every kind of flavor of wing you want in Toronto. So you better come look at our menu and realize which kind you want to get served up to beat your ass down on an NBA court this year. Yeah. You like my Wingstop jokes. Yeah, I love wings. I love wings for dinner, and I love wings on my basketball team. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm going to say right now. Monty Python saying he loves that I did the Monty Python theme for you. Hey, if you show up regularly, I will do it regularly. In fact, I might even do reenactments of old Monty Python sketches, like the Dead Parrot sketch or Nudge Nudge, Wink Wink, and stuff like that. I am well versed in the Python library. So yes, I will get in there. Monty Python's also saying I missed a lot of action, but happy to be back. Listen, you can always catch me later. If you don't catch me live in the morning, the streams are up later, so you can always watch it at your own time and leisure. And I recommend if you do watch me when it's not live, hit that 1.5 speed because I'm even funnier when I'm faster. And you can't understand everything I'm saying at 1.5 speed, and you feel like you time travel. This may be a 2-hour stream by the end of I'm done with it. You watch a 1.5 stream, you're done in just over an hour, and boom, all of a sudden you're like, wow, I just got real productive in my day. You feel like you have some sort of productive because you did time traveling. Oh, yeah, that's the kind of thing I've provided to y'all, the ability to time travel and feel like you got extra productive today. Stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Cowboy's saying, thanks, Raptors, super fan. Respect to you, Canadian Cowboy. I'm glad you found me, and I hope you'll keep coming in and tying your horse to the post outside my saloon. Oh, yeah. Monique saying, Lex is amazing how Sam Mitchell still talks down on Jalen until this day about the Lakers-Raptors game. Well, he should. Sam Mitchell and Jalen Rose have no love lost between the two of them. That, in fact, Jalen Rose may hate the Raptors partly because of Sam Mitchell, that he benched him in favor of Joey Graham. That Joey Graham, he's like, Jalen, you're pissing me off. I'm the coach. You're going to be on the bench. And Joey's starting now. That really made Jalen Rose mad. Because think about it. Jalen Rose was late in his career. He didn't have a whole lot of time left, and he really desperately wanted to win an NBA championship. And he was toiling in Toronto on a team that was going nowhere for a coach that hated him. And obviously, they still hate each other. I bet you Sam Mitchell holds grudges. Yeah, he seems like that kind of guy. And like, he's annoying. Like, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Sam Mitchell. He's not one of my favorite NBA Raptor coaches. And, he bugs me that he's so much on our broadcast still, like on TSN and stuff. I don't want him on the Canadian broadcast. I want him just to stay down south. They can go ahead and say he's former Raptor coach, all they want, coach of the year down there, and just stay in the States, Sam. I hate it when you're on the Canadian broadcast. We need other people to come up here and do it. I'm sorry. Monty Python saying, not the same to follow and support the team without the Raptors community. Yeah, you know, it's fun because, listen, the thing for me that I love the most about the stream is that I get insight and information from you guys that really helps me form even more rounded opinions and ideas about the Raptors and stuff like that. And then in some ways, the think tank and the community that we have here is really good because we're connecting, we're sharing ideas, and we're putting out positive Raptor thoughts and energy for the team to succeed. That in some ways, it really is true. You have to dream to believe to achieve. And that if you're a pessimistic Raptor fan that doesn't believe the Raptors will make the playoffs every year, if you're kind of like a Leaf fan and you're like, they've burned me so many times, I don't want to get my hopes up and feel sad again. You know, you can't be that way with the Raptors. You can't be like a Leaf fan. And that this is an important thing to build energy and inertia for the team unspokenly in the world by putting that positive energy and thought and idea that, well, this could be possible. Because then it becomes real and 2019 championship happens. That's what I'm saying. A lot of Raptor fans didn't believe that we could win the championship that year until it was later in the season and we were getting closer and closer to it. And that's what we need to realize, that the path to a 2023 NBA championship may not be completely clear right now. But as the season unfolds, as the players play the games and the 82 game season goes on, things shape up and happen. And we want to allow the beginnings of the platform for them to spring up and take that championship in 2023. And that's all partly by allowing the thought of it in your own head, that could happen and stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about and stuff like that with this and stuff like that. Seymour saying the summer league rings have more diamonds than the Miami Heat championship ring from back in the day. I understand it's just summer, but when Pascal and Fred won it, it was huge ego boost. Yeah, I mean, it's good for players. It's good for young players and stuff like that. There's all kinds of different places in summer league where you can get a good feeling about things and stuff like that. I'm sure Koloko and Doughton have been feeling really good about some of the stuff they've been doing on the court and stuff like that. You know what? I don't like all the new awards that people have been coming out with in the NBA and stuff like that. Like the Hustle Award for Marcus Smart was dumb, and like these rings are dumb to me. I think they're getting a little bit too much with too many awards in the NBA world. They kind of water it down. They don't mean as much. They're maybe not as prestigious because there's so many MVP awards, so many ways you can get different awards in the NBA at this point. So. G saying, but if we won a ring, I would probably brag. Can't lie. Yeah, if we won the summer league today and we won it, yeah, of course we'd be like, yeah. Well, this is the same thing. Like the team that loses today, the Knicks, hopefully, will be saying the same damn thing. Well, who cares? It's just summer league. The rings don't matter. And meanwhile, Portland Trailblazers fans will be like, we're summer league champions. And they haven't won a ring in Portland since the 70s. So they'll be like, woo, we got rings in Portland all of a sudden. It's just dumb. It's dumb. It's at whatever side you want to be on and which whatever. Monty Python said, true dad. Of course. Yeah, we would be happy about it if we won. We were that team. Of course. Let's see. Monique is agreeing also. Seymour saying, stay away from them lemon pepper wings. No, I can agree with this. Like lemon pepper wings are kind of gross in some ways. Like, I don't know. You definitely have your favorite kind of wing flavors and stuff like that. We're going to have to figure this out. Like maybe we'll have to really figure out the wing flavors of each Raptor and what flavors they should be. Like maybe Precious Achiuwa's barbecue wings or something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like maybe we'll do this one day. We'll do a think tank where we'll say what wing flavor is each wing on the Raptors this year and stuff like that. And that way we can like make nicknames for them. It might be like kind of like a Spice Girls thing. It's like Posh Spice, Scary Spice. Well, we got like Parmesan Spice. No, Parmesan wing. We got a teriyaki wing. We got atomic wing. I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my ass. That's basically what this live stream is, guys. So, all right. Monique's saying Thad Young Jr. plays so much different than his dad. I just want to say happy birthday to Thad Young's kids. They had the birthday party for his children this weekend. And congratulations to Thad Young on bringing up such young, upstanding youngsters that are looking like real basketball prospects. You really put them through the grind, Thad Young. Holy crap. It's like what he was saying at the end of the season. Like, yeah, now that my season's over, I can go home and really put those boys to work. And that's what he's done. He's gone home and he's made those kids work so hard on the basketball court this offseason. Hilarious. Thaddy Daddy is a cool daddy. I'm going to say that right now. And yeah, Thad Young Jr. looking good. Like there's a real crop of young players in the Raptors organization, like with Gary Trent's younger brother and then Thad Young's kids, that they're interesting to see coming up. Blue City's here, Philadelphia fan. What's good, everybody? What up, Blue City? Is it true that PJ Tucker used to play for the Raptors? Yes, it is, Blue City. Actually, PJ Tucker was drafted by the Raptors. We drafted him in the draft in the second round, way back. He came to Toronto and he was not a mature person at this time. In fact, he had some emotional problems and different issues. And what happened was he came in and our management, I think it was Messiah at that point, then Messiah just showed up. It was the very beginning, like around 2012 or something. Maybe I'm wrong. It could have been Colangelo, maybe one of those guys. And they basically told PJ all the things that he's doing wrong because he wasn't taking the NBA seriously. He was not working hard. He was not doing the video room. He was not doing everything that he was supposed to do. And he didn't have the wherewithal outside of his ego to understand how he was fucking up his career. We told him straight up and said, you're not working hard enough. You don't care about your NBA career enough. And we're telling you to your face, and you may not like this. And he heard it and he was pissed off. And he was like, what? I hate Toronto and I don't want to be here. But we were right. And he admits it to this day. He said, you know what? The Raptors hadn't treated me like that. And early on in my rookie time, I wouldn't be the player I am today, because they were the wake-up call for me and how I was being lax and not really working hard enough as an NBA player or understanding the things I needed to do to be an NBA player. So we can thank the Raptors for making PJ Tucker into who he was by calling him out and making it uncomfortable for him. Now, it hurt the bridge with us, and he had to leave because of that. And he went around different places. He was in Europe, I think, for a little while after that. He was in Houston. He was in all kinds of places, bounced around, and now he is where he is today. He actually came back and played for the Raptors a second time. He had 2 stints with the Raptors. He was in his rookie time, and then he came back and played for us for a very brief time also when we had Kyle and DeMar. So, yeah, he has Toronto connections pretty heavy, being drafted by us and in some ways owing his career to us. So, yeah, I'm real interested. The thing about PJ Tucker right now is interesting to me is the NBA is investigating y'all for being a little too quick to sign him in the free agency period. That you guys may be getting something like what happened with Miami and Kyle Lowry coming down the pipeline for y'all. So you may lose a second-round pick because you contacted and figured out the PJ Tucker stuff too soon. So I'm hearing they're investigating y'all for that right now. So Blue City saying, I have a question. What was your reaction when the Raptors lost to the Sixers in the playoff against Allen Iverson? I was there. I was in the building. I was working at the Air Canada Center when we played Allen Iverson in the Sixers in 2001 with Vince Carter, and we lost. And Vince missed that shot just wide right. I hated it. But, also at that point in time with our franchise, we had gone further than we had been ever before. That the year before, we had gone like into the playoffs a couple of years in a row then. Like the first year we played the Knicks in the first round, we got swept and put out right away. The second year, we played the Knicks again in the first round. We beat them in that first round, and then we played y'all in the second round. And that was an achievement above where we had gone before. So in some ways, I felt good about what happened with us, with Iverson. That series was so epic with the big scoring by Vince and Allen Iverson back and forth that it was just a fun series to watch, and it was so close that if Vince had just made that shot, it would have changed everything. So I wasn't that upset at that time. I was really happy that the Raptors had gotten further in the playoffs than they ever had. We've seen a really classic series between 2 greatest scorers in the history of the NBA. And, it would really helped also that the Sixers went all the way to the finals and played the Lakers that year and lost. That we lost to the team that eventually went to the finals. And that was something in itself. So I wasn't that upset about it in some ways. I was sad that we went out, obviously, but also I had the perspective of saying, well, this is our team building up and getting further and deeper into the playoffs. And that's good in itself. So that's the way I looked at it. With Allen Iverson. You called him Alvin Iverson. That's okay. I mean, Alvin Williams, he was there too. Monique saying today feels like a think tank Thursday to me. Yeah, it is a little bit like a think tank Thursday. Monique, I wanted to do a special report, but it's the last summer league game today. It's kind of like just talk all over the place kind of thing. Amani's saying you're right about thoughts shaping our present reality, but most people don't know that. This is really important, like really, really important. You guys have to realize the media is influencing us in insidious ways. And not only just the media, social media also. That Facebook itself can set up your timeline and what you see and your messages, your things that you follow that can mess with you and manipulate you also. Be aware of every single thing and how you feel about it after you read it. If your news is making you feel upset or uncomfortable or stressed out or more like agitated, don't read that news source anymore. That is a constructed news source that wants to have that effect on you, that it's an abusive kind of situation, that you can get the information and news in this world without having that side effect. that it's important for, like, if it's even just you going and getting a newspaper or going online and reading it online and just reading it in yourself. Because sometimes the delivery has to do with the broadcaster. Like, they'll tell you the way they write the copy, the wording, the way that their inflection comes across, they will be trying to trigger you or gaslight you or make you feel unsettled. That's part of how they get people watching. That's how you get hooked on CNN 24/7, because they want to sensationalize it and make you feel agitated. Well, this is a big thing in today's world. If you can get news sources that you trust, that are factual, that give you the information without all the fucking extra emotions, do it that way. Because they are out there to manipulate you to get your attention by using fear and making you feel bad. So really think about when you're reading something, how it made you feel. And if it makes you feel negative things, stop using that news source and seek alternative news sources that do not give you that kind of effect. This is very important in today's day and age, to be able to be able to take in information about the news and current events and not be tainted by the inflection of the broadcaster or them telling you how you should feel about something. Sometimes you need to look at the facts and decide for yourself instead of letting somebody on Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or CBC or whoever make the decision for you about how you should feel about it. There you go. Just a little news break in there. And this is important. Like, this is a Raptors channel, but this is also because the Raptors are such a social justice franchise that it's important that the political stuff is involved in my stream also. And I am very far left, and I am very much for progress and people getting more equality and having more fairness in this world. And that's the basis of my platform politically. So yeah, there we go. G saying Blue, yes, watch what he says about what Masai did to him, which he said changed him for the better. That's exactly what I was talking about. G's alluding to PJ Tucker and what Masai had to tell him, the tough stuff early on in his career that made him the player he is today. Monty's saying imagination, the language of reality. Take it and go. Exactly. Our perception is our own reality. If you perceive the world to be out to get you, it will be out to get you. If you perceive the world to be out there to love you and give you the things that you want, that is what will happen also. So sometimes it's just inside us to change our mindset, and then beautiful things happen. That's why, if you're depressed or negative or down on the world, try and change your perception, because that could be the first step in you being happier and stuff like that. Like, everything that is bad that happens has a silver lining. And if you focus on the good and the bad, sometimes you can salvage yourself from being miserable and stuff like that. So that's what I'll say right there. Seymour saying PJ Tucker might have played for the most teams in NBA history. You know, Seymour, I'm gonna bust out an old name of somebody that I think played for the most teams in the NBA history. That was Chucky Brown, wasn't it? Chucky Brown. He played for like I want to say like 15 NBA teams before he was done. Now you can fact check me, guys. This is just me going off the top of my head. Go and find out who is the NBA player with the record most teams played for in their NBA career. I think it's Chucky Brown, and you guys can fact check me on that. That's just me going off the top of my head. I don't know if that's true. Peter S is here. Good to see you, Saborin. The penalty for tampering makes no sense. They just screw a kid out of the draft. You know what? I didn't really think about it that way. That you're right. That there's 2 more spots that should have been draft picks this year, but did not happen because of the tampering. Yeah, that's a really good kind of thing. But I guess they got to do something. I don't know. I think that the whole thing's kind of stupid anyway. These guys are going to go to these teams anyway. It's going to have. So what if they get a little ahead with figuring it out? It's just, don't do it like Steve Ballmer was doing it with our Raptors in the championship year, and the way he was all over Kawhi Leonard in the year that before he went to the Clippers. He was coming to our arena. Him and Doc Rivers were coming in. They were like college recruiters, the way they were coming at Kawhi Leonard the year he was on the Raptors. It was kind of messed up. That's the bad tampering I don't like. Tampering right before the deadline just to kind of set up your deal. Yeah, I can see where that's kind of a problem, because maybe other teams would like to have that opportunity to talk to that player. But also, it's kind of like it's right around when it's going to happen anyway. So it's like, what is a couple hours? Come on. Peter, let's see. Seymour saying at Blue City, you had to bring that up. Well, it's all right. We can talk about any Raptors history. And we've talked a lot about the Iverson Carter series and that history with the Raptors and Sixers and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of our history. And I'm proud of that series, actually. Even though we lost, it was a really important series to the history of the Raptors. It put us on the mark. We were exciting. People were watching the hell out of us because of that duel between Iverson and Carter. It was amazing. Peter's saying contenders don't care about second round picks. Yeah, we don't, a lot of teams don't and stuff like you can make gold out of those picks, but it's not always that important, stuff like that. Monique saying blue, that was a bad time for the franchise. It wasn't though, Monique. That wasn't a bad time for the franchise. We were okay around Philadelphia series. Like that was okay. Even the next year, we were okay at that time, at least in my opinion. We were on the up and up. We were moving towards something better and better. And it was happening that still with Vince at that point until like the next, about a year or two after that, things started to really slide. But I think the next year we were okay still. Let's see. Let's see. Blue City saying, hold up. I thought Sixers don't even have a second round pick for 2023. Well, if they don't have a pick for next year, they'll penalize you for the first year that you do. It may be in 2024 that you lose a pick, but I don't know if they're even going to nail you guys for this. I don't know. There's some murmurs that they're investigating. There's no official word that if you guys are in trouble or not. It's just that they're saying they're looking into the PJ Tucker negotiations. Seymour saying minus the Knicks, I think we have the strongest division in the league. You know what? There is some argument for that. I don't want to include Brooklyn either in this, but Boston, Toronto, and Philadelphia are solid franchises right now. And Brooklyn's a dumpster fire still. I'm sorry. No matter how this shapes out with Kevin Durant, just having Ben Simmons on your roster and Kevin Durant wanting to leave and the whole mess that's happened, Brooklyn's going to be a dumpster fire this year, no matter what. Like, even if he stays, they're going to be a dumpster fire. If they trade him, they're going to be in a transition year. There's going to be a dumpster fire also. So, yeah, I think you're right, Seymour. I think the Atlantic Division is a very strong division in the NBA and underrated in some ways. And partly it's because the Raptors are underrated. Philadelphia is getting their kudos and their shine from the NBA media darlings. And like Boston will always too. And they'll be hopeful for New York and Brooklyn. But those two teams, in some ways, I don't see them as legitimate contenders this year in any kind of way. Even though New York's gotten some new players and Brooklyn is really up in the air with what's going to happen with them. I don't think that it's a similar thing. They're so in flux and so messed up that they got to just find some consistency and knowing what's going to happen. And they don't have that still because of Kevin right now. So it is what it is. Blue City saying, speaking of social media, who remembers MySpace? Before Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat were invented, MySpace with Tom from MySpace. He would be like your first friend, Tom. And then you go to MySpace and Linkin Park would start playing when you come on somebody's page. And like, he's like, and you're like, whoa, where's this music coming from on my computer? I was like, oh, wait, this person has music automatically playing on their MySpace profile? This is annoying. Yeah, I remember MySpace. All right, let's see. Blue City saying, my stepdad always told me you can't have people always fighting for your battles. Sometimes you have to do it yourself. Yes, of course. Sure. I agree with that. And it gives you more experience. It gives you hardened in yourself and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly what that comment's coming from, but either way, I agree with it. Seymour saying, LeBron James says he hates playing in Boston because Celtics fans are racist as fuck. Yeah. I mean, this is not a secret. This has been true for a long time. I mean, it was true in their roster construction. That for many, many years, the Celtics really went after white players. That they had a majority of white players on their team at certain times in their history. That they wanted as many white players on their team as possible. And there's a reason for that, partly. And part of the reason is that the Proud Boys can march in downtown Boston and harass people of color on the street and get away with it, apparently, because that's the day and age we live in the United States. That racism is mainstream, that Donald Trump has made racists emboldened to go out and be pieces of shit in public and stuff like that. Well, part of the thing with Boston is their crowd is very vocal. They're very loud. We've seen in the recent show Winning Time with the Lakers and Magic going and getting it off the airplane in the airport, all the N-word being thrown at them as they're walking through the airport and then coming in the game, going to the hotel. Everywhere they went, Boston fans were throwing the N-word at the players in this show on TV, on HBO. And this is probably not far off from the way it was in the 80s. Now, I don't know how it is right now. It could be pretty bad, like the 80s, just because of Trump and his bullshit and what he's done to the US. But it could be that things have gotten a little bit better, a little bit more family friendly. But as a lot of Raptor fans and a lot of other NBA fans watched the playoffs this past season, we saw Boston play a lot of games because they got to the finals. And whenever they would show the Boston fans, I was like, these people look racist as fuck, is what I was saying. Yeah, they look racist. Like, you can look and see the whitest of white people out there. And I'm white. I'm very white myself. But I look at these people, and these are like lily white, really, like, these people are kind of weird in some ways. They may not have any black friends, and they're at an NBA game. So it's that kind of thing. Like, there is some racism in New England. I have a good friend of mine that I grew up with in Tallahassee that lives in Manchester, New Hampshire right now. He's lived there for the last decade. And he would be hanging out at a park in New Hampshire, just hanging out like a black dude in a park. And he would get harassed by the police and harassed by people like, why the hell are you just hanging out in a park? You're a black dude in a park in New Hampshire. And they'd be like, why are you here? And it would freak them out. He was getting profiled racially in New England. So there is a lot of this in that section of the United States and New England and Boston in particular, that there's a heritage of the Tea Party, the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre, all of the old colonial kind of U.S. stuff, that it really is kind of gross in some ways. That, like, yeah, there's a problem there and stuff like that. Yeah, and I love that LeBron said that, but it's also kind of weird that he said that because he's kind of shooting himself in the foot. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but LeBron James is a part owner of the Boston Red Sox, that he is one of the owners of the baseball team, and that he's kind of dissing the fans of one of his teams when he's saying this about Boston Fan Nation. That LeBron, you own one of the teams in that market, and you're saying the people are racist there. Hello, come on, that may not be good business, even though you're true and you're right. So very interesting. Blue City saying, I still don't like LeBron James. The reason why he says he would do one thing, but then he does the opposite of what he is again. He's a complicated person. I hate him in a lot of ways, but you know what? He's dead right on political stuff. Like, the stuff he's saying about Brittany Griner right now is right on point. And he's so right on right. And I hate LeBron. I hate what he did to us in Toronto, the years in the last 10 years. And I hate him, but I respect the hell out of him too. And when he retires, I am going to consider him one of the greatest ever. And I will give him his flowers then, but he's still an active enemy. So I will not put down my hating of him until he retires. And then I can start to like him. Like, recently, I love Kobe Bryant more and more and more. I hate that he's dead right now. I hate that things happen the way they did with him, because the more I find out about Kobe and who he truly was and what it was all about with him, the more I love him. And I hated him as a player. I hated Michael when he played too. I just hate the best player in the league. I always have. I hated Michael back in the day. I hated Kobe. I hated LeBron. And when they retire, I enjoy their greatness and celebrate them much more. Like, I love Michael Jordan now. I hated him when he played Detroit. I love Kobe Bryant now, and I hated him when he played the Raptors before. So it's that way. And it'll get to that point with LeBron also for me. I love that he went to Drew League yesterday and played with the people like that and did what he did. That's fantastic. I love the fact that he is a family man, that he's stuck with Savannah this whole time, and he has a good family. He doesn't have any scandals. He is a good role model. I love those kind of things. Outside the court, he's a good role model. I don't think he's a good role model on the court just because of his theatrics, the way he complains about calls. He was, in fact, complaining about calls at Drew League yesterday, whining just like he would to an NBA ref at Drew League. Oh my gosh. But yeah, there's things about him I don't like, but there's a lot that I do respect. And most of it's in his private life, in real life, and not in the NBA stuff. The NBA stuff, sure, I can get behind the accolades and the scoring and the amazing, impressive like resume, but his demeanor, the way he carries himself, the way he's acted as a teammate, the way he's acted with the Lakers in particular is not anything to celebrate. But the person, him as an individual in private, he's an amazing person. And I have so much respect for him also at the same time. It's a weird thing. It's a really weird thing. Monique's saying Fred VanVleet, Black Lives Matter message, though. Wow, loved it. Fred's been awesome this week between going to the zoo with his kids, celebrating Mark Gasol, different things. Like, I just want Freddie to be happy. And I know that this is going to be a difficult year for him in some ways. This is going to be a transition year that he may have to change his game very fundamentally this year. And it will be for his better, and it'll be better for the Raptors and winning championships. And that's the thing that matters for him. But I love Fred, and we need to make sure we don't turn our backs on him like we did DeMar, just because he said he wants to be a Raptor lifer. We want to make that happen. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so Seymour looked it up. Anthony Tolliver has played for the most teams. He played for 11 teams. Jim Jackson played for 12. Okay, you guys are looking at it. We're getting different names. Jim Jackson, Anthony Tolliver. Those are both names that were around. I think Chucky Brown played for more teams than both those guys. I'm serious. I think he played for 13, y'all. You guys need to go look at Chucky Brown. Ish Smith, 13. Okay, good. You guys are going through the whole list here. Joe Smith, 12. Tony Massenberg, 12. Okay. Ish Smith played for 12, not 13. I swear, I think Chucky Brown's got 13 at least, guys. So go look at Chucky Brown. Seriously, go look him up. He's an older player. He didn't play in the league for like 30 years now, but I think he played for a lot of teams. Chucky Brown, go look at him. All right, let's see. Blue City saying, and that's another thing why I hate LeBron. He's saying that Boston's racist. He is just butthurt because he lost the Celtics back then. That one championship that the Celtics won against him? Come on. He's not that. I mean, we all hate Boston. We all think they're racist. I mean, you're a Philly fan. You should hate Boston too. They are racist. Let's just put it that way. LeBron's right about this. Boston fan is more racist than the average NBA fan. It's just the pure truth of it. They have an accrued history of this. I mean, Philly, if we're going to do the racist fan base power rankings, you guys would be in there too at a certain point. In some ways, not as bad as Boston for sure, but you guys have such an edge to you guys, and you guys can be really ugly and mean that I would bet that there's some racism in your fan base also and stuff like that. But I'm not here to point fingers and stuff like that. I agree with what LeBron said and stuff like that. But I don't think it has to do with him losing the Celtics. I think it has more to do with like these are men that play a professional sport. They're on a court and they're hearing awful, disgusting things from the fans. And I'm sure Kyrie heard a lot of it this season when he went back to Boston. He does. Boston fan really lets Kyrie know. And we don't know what kind of things they're actually saying. They say some really messed up things. You might be surprised at how open and racist what they're saying is at the court and stuff like that. Because much like in Western Canada, where there's not a lot of people of color, racism can be very insidious in team sports, like in hockey. And it's more not that it's allowable or okay. It's just it's not as fought against because there's not as many people of color there. And then when it happens, you hear these awful stories in hockey and like smaller levels of hockey where kids are getting taunted racially in hockey games. And some of the stuff that people are saying is really messed up, like very basic old racist kind of shit from like the 30s and shit like that and stuff like that. So, it's there. And sometimes it has to do with populations that just don't have a lot of contact with people of color, that they're just insulated and they're very white where they are and they don't deal with black people enough to understand how to deal with them in a respectful way. That they just don't have any basis of deal. I'm not making excuses for them because they're wrong and they're ugly people, but you got to understand that sometimes it's just that they haven't had enough contact or getting to know people, that they have really messed up ideas about what they're like because they just don't have real experience and stuff like that. So Peter S., they're still talking about who played for the most teams. I swear it's Chucky Brown, y'all. I mean, you're going to make me look it up after this. The Raptors almost beat us in the 2001 playoff. I'm hearing rumors that Ben Simmons might not even play again this season. Well, as a Philly fan, that's not your problem anymore. And you could just smile and sit by the window with us, with your tea, and Kermit and Tom Duke and I. We'll all sit by the window. We'll sip some tea and see the dumpster fire in Brooklyn as it burns. And you'll love it because that was your dumpster fire, and now you've passed it on. I think it'd be hilarious if he didn't play again. But he's saying that he's ready to go, and he's like making posts and stuff. He's so stupid. I mean, honestly, Ben Simmons is such an idiot. Let's see. Blue City saying the Brooklyn Nets are not a real New York team. Their original team is New Jersey Nets. I know, but that's not true though. Like this is what's happened. The Knicks were so bad. Like the New York Knicks have been so bad for so long that New York needs a team to cheer for that's kind of good. So they bring Brooklyn across the river into New York City from New Jersey, and that's supposedly like the team people in New York can get behind and feel like a winner for. Well, that's not necessarily true either. That they're just as bad as the Knicks as far as their build. That people think they're better because of these big names that have been on paper for them last couple of years. Well, they're just as big a dumpster fire, maybe even worse than New York Knicks and stuff like that. So it really is kind of like New York's market trying to take something and make something new because the Knicks are going nowhere. That as long as they have James Dolan as their owner, they're going to suck and they're going to be just a badly managed team. And the Brooklyn Nets are their hope for that market, having somebody to celebrate. That they had to get another team just to have another horse in the race for somebody to cheer for and stuff like that. And saying, Seymour saying, "Do you remember when Masai said fuck Brooklyn?" I think we all remember that. That's a classic, great Canadian heritage moment. They should have the little commercial like when the great moments in Canadian history. Masai Ujiri said fuck Brooklyn at Jurassic Park. It was so good. Tom Duke saying recent Wizard Nuggets trade makes it 13 for Ish Smith. So he's been on 13 teams, Ish Smith. I think he's tied with Chucky Brown. Seriously, y'all go look at Chucky Brown for me real quick. Blue City saying, yes, I remember him saying fuck Brooklyn. Yeah, he can get behind that. This is the thing. Like Philly fan and us, we can be contentious when we're playing each other, but we feel the same damn way about Brooklyn Nets. We feel the same damn way about the Boston Celtics. These are teams that we hate, and we can get behind hating them together, stuff like that. So Peter S is saying, provided he plays a game for them. Yeah. Talking about Ben Simmons, I'm thinking, oh, you're talking about Ish Smith. Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't know. I still think it's Chucky Brown, guys. Blue City saying that's why racism will never go away, but there's always a chance that person will change for the good. Racism could go away. It's an excuse. It's an excuse. The problem is that people, all right, the thing that is happening is the media manipulates us to be racist. Donald Trump manipulates us to be racist. They are preying on people's fears that they won't have enough money to feed themselves. They're preying on the fears that they're not going to have a job. They're preying on the fears that somebody's coming here and they're going to outnumber them and they won't be in power anymore. And that's what racism is that like this is the whole platform of the GOP right now, is to make their base scared of people coming to take things from them. Whereas the people that are coming to take things from them are actually them themselves, the rich GOP and them, the corporate people, the 1%, stuff like that. They want us versus each other. It's a very important tactic by the powers that be to divide and conquer. That if they have us divided this way, that's what happened. That's what stokes this. So anybody who's racist, they're just ignorant and stupid. They can be educated and they can change their beliefs. That racism does not have to exist. That does not have to be in society. That if we would evolve as a society and be more educated overall on average, that it would die out more and more. And it has died out more and more. In fact, I would argue that what's happening right now in society is the last gasps of really blatant racism because they see how woke culture is coming. They're seeing how they can't get away with doing all this shit. And they're trying to act out as much as they can right at the very end of it in some ways. Sure, discrimination, racism will be happening in the world in different ways. Sure, for perpetuity. But it's also going to get better and more understanding and more education. There's a lot of young people that do not follow the racist path of their parents. That's part of the great thing about being a teenage rebel is if you have racist parents and they piss you off, you want to piss them off, go be friends with people that they hate and then change your mentality and the way it changes generationally. So I don't agree with this. I don't think it's something that it will always be so paramount and important. I think that it ebbs and flows throughout history, that it's much more ugly and out in our faces. And right now it is, because we're putting it on blast. We're saying this ain't right, and we're calling people out for it. And the racists in some ways are fighting the war by saying, well, we want the right to be racist, so we're putting it in your face more right now. So this is a real battle that can be won by people that aren't racist. The racists are going to lose this battle every single time because it's a battle of right and wrong, and they're wrong. And that's just the pure damn truth of it and stuff like that. I'm more, I'm not as pessimistic about this as you are. And it may be partly because I live in Canada and you live in the United States. That in the States, yeah, I'd be real pessimistic about a race war starting out because Trump and his fucking crazy ass cracker, crazy white people, like, that lady coming out standing next to Trump saying this is a victory for white people in the United States. That's messed up. There's a lot of messed up stuff that's happening with the normalization of white supremacy in the United States right now. And that's the dangerous thing is the white supremacy is not the immigrants from Mexico, is not black criminals, is not any of this stuff. The problem with it all is white supremacy and white terrorists, domestic terrorists shooting up schools, shooting up grocery stores, and doing stuff like that. That is the problem. That, the other stuff is just everyday, regular kind of stuff that isn't really based on race or anything like that. It's based on economics because there's just as many poor white people shooting people and doing crazy shit as black people that are poor also. That it has to do with economics more at that level than race indicators. So we're going to get into sociology. This is what I studied in grad school. I will talk a lot about sociology because I do know a lot about it. All right, let's see. Tom Duke has given the check mark to Peter S. and he loves it. He's laughing about it. Tom Duke saying, true, Peter, true. Think the trade will still be valid, setting the record at 13. Chucky Brown had 12 teams. Okay, so he's right there. He's right there. All right. Well, it sounds like 13 is the magic number for most teams played by a player, and it looks like it might be Ish Smith and a couple other guys. Blue City saying, same here. I hated players, hint, the Kawhi leather bounce, but I respect players as person when it comes playing against opponents, the gloves are off. Yeah, you had to hate that with the Philadelphia, being a Philadelphia fan, the Kawhi bounce shot. That is an epic thing, and you're on the other end of it. I mean, I guess that's a similar thing for me. That Vince missed the shot, I was disappointed. Well, Kawhi made the shot, and you were disappointed. And I can understand that. Like, I don't see how you could hate Kawhi. Kawhi's a weird one. Like, yeah, he did the Spurs wrong, and he's kind of flake in some ways, but he's also, in a lot of ways, he's underrated, and he does a lot of in amazing things as a player and different things and stuff like that. So I Smoke Rocks is here with you, Blue City. So we got two Philly fans here. When I think of racist fans, I always thought of Indiana, Utah, and Boston. Could be different now. That's actually pretty on point. Those are the three, all right, Utah for sure. Utah's a weird place with a lot of Mormons. They're very fundamentally Christian. They have a lot of weird like implications and stuff like that on their team. They had Stockton Malone on that team for a reason. That Malone was a country boy and he was very conservative the way he is as a person. And that John Stockton's a white guy from Gonzaga. That's the perfect combo for the Jazz and what they do out there. That it is a weird place for an NBA team, and there is a conflict of culture between the NBA and Salt Lake City, Utah. That is a weird place for an NBA team, yes. And then and it's even more weirder that the name's Jazz. And then Indiana for sure. One of the things that happened with Indiana in the last couple of years is we had a game and Nav Bhatia came to the game, just like he went to Philadelphia and was at courtside in the playoffs against Philly, against the Sixers. He went to a game, and we had other Raptor fans travel the border and go to Indiana and sit there, and they were people of color from around the world. They were Asian people. They were people like Nav Bhatia. And the Indiana fans start posting all this stuff about all these terrorist Raptor fans coming to Indiana for a game. Like, don't send your terrorists from Canada here because they saw Sikhs and Indian people from India in their arena that they thought they were terrorists. So yeah, there's some racism in Indiana also. We got to remember that's French lit country, Larry Bird, Hoosiers country. And it's very white country there too. So I think you nailed it on the head, like right there. As far as the three cities, I Smoke Rocks. You may smoke rocks, but you're not smoking rocks on your perception of the racism in the league. And those three cities may be the most racist cities in the NBA. Yeah, it's not Toronto. Toronto's probably near the end of this list. If you really wanted to power rank the racist cities in the NBA, Toronto's probably in the bottom 5 compared to everybody else in a lot of ways. LA is a very racist city. We can talk about the racism in LA. We can talk about the racism in Miami. We could talk about racism in Atlanta, even though Atlanta is, as George Clinton in the Funkadelic would say, is a chocolate city. There's that Atlanta is a very much predominant black city in a lot of ways, but don't get it twisted. There's some very, very institutionalized racism in Georgia. So yeah, we can get into where the more racist and really do an anti power rankings for racism that would show the opposite of what Chris Bouchard said about Toronto for sure. Oh yeah, Blue City saying I respect your opinion. Made it be because I never expect racism myself. I'm also black, but hey, I do love to learn about different history. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know what like Philly's like. I haven't spent a lot of time in Philly. I do know that Kensington area is really depressed and dangerous and sad. And I also do know, and part of the history in Philadelphia is with the police there have been militarized at different times against their own citizens, like using bombs on their own citizens in their houses or like military grade weaponry against people in their houses in Philadelphia. There's a history of that, and that's sad and disgusting. The police in Philadelphia can be racist. So we'll just put it that way and stuff like that. But hey, listen, I'm glad that you haven't been subjugated to any kind of racism and different things like that. That's awesome. That's the kind of perfect world that I want. And like, listen, if we can get more and more better, it's like progress, not perfection. I think you're right. That racism will always exist to a certain extent, but the more we lessen it, the more we not make it normalized, not make it so mainstream like Trump has, the better. The racists need to be the minority and they need to be called out and shunned and shamed for it so that they change their behavior. And that's the best way we can do it. And in social media and the way we operate nowadays, it's happening. People are getting put on blast and they're losing jobs for being outright racist in public and stuff like that. And that's really good. That's progress. Honestly, that's technology helping progress to fight racism instead of making it worse, because it goes both ways. Technology can be used to illuminate the problem and get people in trouble that wouldn't have gotten in trouble before because there was no evidence. And it can also provide a den and a haven, a cesspool where people can meet and have their own little boards and share like racist ideologies and like this whole disgusting thing about mass shooters communicating. They're not lone wolves. These people are in a community and they look and see what the guy in New Zealand did with the mosque shooting, and they want to replicate or even beat their kill score. This is a whole undercurrent of white supremacist, fucked up people that are looking at this and encouraging each other to become an agitated active shooter and go out and do a mass shooting. So whenever the press says this is a lone wolf, this is somebody who acted alone, that's bullshit, because they have a social network that pushes them towards the act of what they do eventually, like the Buffalo shooter, like the Uvalde shooter. These were acts that were pushed by other people online. So the internet can be working in both ways. We can put people on blast, ruin their lives for being racist, but also there's cesspools of racism that is being community a community of white supremacy online that is pushing young idiots that have ideological problems with what's happening in the world to be violent and act out like this. So it's stuff like that. Smoke Rocks is saying Philly fans got a bad rep for whipping snowballs at Santa Claus. It wasn't even snowballs, man. You're saying it was snowballs. They were throwing batteries at him. They were throwing harder things than just snowballs at Santa. And there's other stuff that Philly fans done. Like, I know you guys treated some of your baseball players pretty awfully in the history of the Phillies and stuff like that. And then there's other things too. It's not about who's worse or anything like that. Honestly, people are going to say the things about the Raptors nation that have to do with Kevin Durant and booing, cheering injuries and just some stuff that we have too. It's all just part of the fun and stuff like that. I don't think Philly Nation's that racist, honestly. I think Boston Nation is. But I don't think Philly Nation is actually itself. Because in some ways, you got to look at who's attracted to rooting for those teams. Philly Nation's not necessarily an attractive team to root for. You have to be a diehard Sixer fan to go on this ride with that franchise over the years and stay true to it. And in some ways, it's not prestigious to be a Sixers fan like it is to be a Celtics fan. And that some of these people wear the Celtics fan card as being, I'm white and I'm a Celtics fan, kind of thing. And you don't see that as much with Philly. And that's why I'll say some of its identity and stuff like that. Like the Celtics fan has really been identified as that for a long, long time. Stuff like that. Seymour saying, well, for best fans, Phoenix and Dallas have fallen for its poor behavior during the last couple of playoffs. Toronto has the best atmosphere. And when Warriors fans were pushing Kyle Lowry fans Warrior fans were asked too. Everybody's got bad fans. There's a mix of toxic and good in everything. Like, for the philanthropy and the good things that Raptor fans do, there is the ugliness of other Raptor fans being absolute asses online, or just being stupid and doing dumb stuff like harassing players on the street or something like that. Yeah, there's a mix of everything in every fan nation. There's just little higher percentages in different ones and stuff like that. But yeah, we got it. We got bad fans too. Let's see. Blue City saying, hold up, but it's LeBron James is Boston Red Sox fan, and does he own half the team as well? Well, not trying to be rude. I just want to know. Yeah, yeah. LeBron, one of the things that he's done in his career is he's becoming a sports owner. And I saw a very interesting clip recently about LeBron James and his ownership in sports. That he is a part owner of Man U, also Manchester United, and he's a part owner of the Boston Celtics. He's in that ownership group. Now, what the plan is when LeBron retires, what he wants to do is he wants to be the main primary owner of an NBA franchise in Las Vegas. That when he retires, he wants them to grant the NBA to grant a team to Las Vegas, and that's going to be his baby. That he's going to own an NBA team in Las Vegas after he retires. That is his goal and his dream. That he's really into sports ownership, and that he is a part owner of the Red Sox. Yeah, he is. Blue City saying, oh, trust me, I hated the Celtics. They've been owning us. Yeah, Sixers and the Celtics have not had a very fair and balanced rivalry in the history of it. I mean, at different times. I mean, in the early 80s, you guys had some really good battles with Boston. Larry versus Dr. J, fantastic stuff. And at that point, Philadelphia was still getting there. At 83, you guys won the championship. So that kind of stuff is important. That rivalry between Boston and Philly from the early 80s was huge. Huge, 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 huge. Boston and Philly fans hated each other so much at that time. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Blue City saying, hearing you preaching to the choir, I will totally vote for you for president. Well, I can't be U.S. president because I'm Canadian born, but I am a U.S. citizen. So if they allow Arnold Schwarzenegger to run for president eventually, hey, maybe, I don't know. I'd much rather be over here in this leadership on this side of the border. That I am a dual citizen. I'm American and Canadian, Canadian born, but raised in Tallahassee, Florida. That's why I have the Southern accent, is because I was 20 years of my formative years were in Tallahassee at Florida State, and growing up and going to Lincoln High School, the same school that Antonio Cromartie, Zach Pillar, Kevin Carter of the St. Louis Rams, they all went to the same high school as me. It's a big high school in Tallahassee. But yeah, I mean, I would run for prime minister. I don't know. People keep saying this. The world's in such a dumpster fire and some bad things. They need people like me to jump into leadership roles that are real and will fucking do something about shit instead of just talking out their ass. So, hey, I appreciate that. That's a huge compliment coming from a Philly fan, and respect, Blue City, as usual, man. I smoke rocks. How disappointed were you when Chris Bosh left Toronto? He one of the most disliked Raptors. I love these Philly fans. They're really trying to pry the sensitive moments from the history of the Raptors with me. Yes, I was very hurt by Chris Bosh leaving. In fact, my personal story about Chris Bosh leaving is very personal. It's weird because when we had Chris Bosh on our team is right around when I met my ex-wife, and we were together for 5 years. And basically the 5 years we were together kind of coincided with Chris Bosh's tenure with the Raptors, more or less. It's a little bit less than he was on the team. Now, when she left me, she literally left, walked out the door because I was an alcoholic. I was deep in the bottle at that time. I have 12 years sober now, but she left me because of my alcoholism. I drank way too much. I was a horrible, angry drunk. And she left. And right around when she left, Chris left also. So I had all the hurt from my divorce and my ex-wife leaving me, coupled with the Chris Bosh decision to go to South Beach with LeBron James. And that is really personal for me because I was Facebook friends with Chris when he was on the Raptors, and I would communicate with him in Messenger. I would send him messages, egging him on, telling him he's going to do great, and like we're proud of him and stuff like that. And then right before he made the decision to go to Miami, he defriended me from Facebook. That's how much of a Raptor freak I am. that I got befriended by Chris Bosh right before he went to South Beach and joined the Miami Heat. Because he knew I'd be pissed at him. He knew as soon as he made that decision, he went through his friends list and he took all the main Raptor fans, the super fans that were friends with him, and he deleted them. I'm going to bet you money because he knew he was about to piss us all off. So yeah, there you go. There's my story about it. It hurt very much. But you know what? Her leaving and Chris leaving, it got me to the point where I am today, out of the bottle and having sobriety in my life. That 2010 is the last year I had to drink alcohol. And I'm not looking back. Things have been great in the 12 years since, and I don't want to mess with it. So thank you to my ex-wife, and thank you, Chris, in a roundabout way. Now, Chris isn't totally a disliked Raptor. There's a lot of people that really love him here. I don't hate him either. I think he's a really nice guy. I love the dude in a lot of ways. But I am disappointed that he made that decision and did what he did. And he will never, ever be in my books like a DeMar DeRozan or a Kyle Lowry because of that. And I discount what he's done for our team partly because of that also, that he had to leave. He didn't stick it out like Dame Lillard or Bradley Beal. He had to leave to go get a championship and stuff like that. So Blue Cities, don't forget Chicago. Chicago, as far as racism, yeah. I mean, they've had their issues with the police for sure in Chicago, definitely. Oh, yeah. Blue City's saying, I feel bad for the kids that are not racist, but they're being blamed because their parents are. Yeah. And Monique's saying, wow, this stream. I know we're getting heavy and deep. You know, I saw this phenomenon all the time when I was in the States, when I was growing up in Florida and Tallahassee. Tallahassee has got Trump all around it, Trump people. Like very Republican in the around Tallahassee, but the middle of the city is very blue and liberal because of the universities there, and it's really weird. But there's a mix, and they interact and stuff like that. You've got like the universities with the professors and the more liberal-minded people, and then you have the agriculture, the farmers outside of Tallahassee. And I would see in high school young women that were in families that were racist, or they would tell me, they're like, yeah, my dad's so racist, they hate black people and stuff, and that's why I'm dating this guy. And they would be dating a black guy just to piss their dad off. And I would be like, that's awesome. That is so cool. And that is how we fight it. It's generationally taught. And that, you know, parents can try and instill racist rhetoric and ideals into their children, but children can reject them if they get the right influences from the outside and don't get indoctrinated into this lifestyle of these kind of beliefs. That it's really important for people to recognize when a young person may be getting indoctrinated into that kind of stuff, and to be a counterbalance for them to understand the reality and how this is not right or good for the world. And it may be not right or good for that individual person for their future. So that's the interesting thing, that it can change generationally because of the rebellion of a teenage girl or a teenager that doesn't like their parents. And they're like, well, I think you're full of shit, Dad, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be, even if it pisses you off. So courage and strength to those young people that make the change within their families. And I've also heard some people talk a lot about this. Like, all right, as a white person, I have a lot of white relatives. Now, all of the people in my family, are all of them not racist? I would like to think so, but I don't know if that's exactly true. And in most white families, there are family members that are racist, and it's known that they're racist. Well, it may be on some of us in our own families to kind of, you know, get in their faces and tell them why this is not acceptable anymore at this point. That we may have casually just let, well, that's just Grandpa Joe being Grandpa Joe, and let him be that way. Well, now's the time to kind of get in their face and say, you know what, this bullshit ain't happening no more. And that we won't stand for it. We don't want to be around you if you're going to be an influence like this on our children and things like that. So in your own family, if you're a person that is white like me, analyze your own family members and realize what part of your family may be a little racist. And then maybe kind of make them feel like maybe they shouldn't be like that. Or if you have to cut them out of your life, so be it. People have to do those kind of things and stuff like that. So that's one way. Another way that we can be allies on the inside as a white person is that, you know, this is in the inside in your family. It's your private family life. And, you know, nobody else is involved in it. You may have privately racist family members, but you can put them on blast inside your family and try and make that change in that way and be an ally in that kind of way. So, hey, I'm getting into some really crazy stuff today, but hey, it is what it is. This is what we do. We mix the Raptors with the social justice and the world as a whole. And if it's a think tank for figuring out how the Raptors can win championships, it's also a think tank for how we can improve the world and make it a better place. Stuff like that. Blue City saying black, white, Asian, Puerto Rican, anyone can be racist. Hey, black people can be racist their own kind. Yes. Yes. But we have to understand there's a false equivalency with this. That when you have one race that's dominant and they kind of make the story and stuff like that, they kind of make people hate themselves inwardly in some ways. And some black people that are racist towards black people is partly because they hate being black themselves because they weren't taught to embrace it or enjoy it or be okay in their own skin. And that is part of the whole system of like racism. This systemic racism is built in these kind of ways to have these kind of effects. And then listen, sure, these other groups can be racist and racist towards white people. Honestly, who cares? That's, you know what? Listen, we've been racist towards them. It's whatever. The problem is the people that are in power that are holding down other people by being racist. That is more egregious and awful. White racism towards other people is bad and the worst part because we're the people that are in power and they've held people down and used these kind of systems for our own benefit. And that is the thing we got to realize with this. So I would say, yeah, everybody can be racist in different ways, but a white racist is much more powerful because the system backs them up and allows for them to be that way more in more damaging ways than say an Asian racist or a black racist or something like that. So, all right. And I Smoke Rock saying Embiid is going to be the president of Canada for at least another year. So, Raptor Freak, you have to wait to take over as president. Once again, we don't have a president here, I Smoke Rocks. We have a prime minister. And all right, since you keep bringing up Embiid, let's talk about what Embiid just did recently that's kind of really pissing off the people of Cameroon. The man just went and got a French passport. Yeah, Joel Embiid went and got a passport for France, and he is intending to play for the French national team. That he is turning his back on the country of Cameroon to play internationally for them in basketball, and he's going to go play for France now. And now all the Cameroonians are like, fuck Joel Embiid. Fuck him. We like Siakam. Siakam's a real one because he'll come play for us. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid wants to go play for France instead of us. So, yeah, there's something on the down low that's just developed in the last week. Cameroon's pissed at Joel Embiid because he's going to go play for Team France. So, yeah, there you go. I Smokes Rock saying, that's great news for Raptor Freak. 12 years of sobriety. Glad you found happiness. Yeah, man, it's a lot of hard work, and it takes daily work still to this day, even 12 years in it. And I know that I'm not supposed to be publicly out as an alcoholic, but I am strong enough to do this. And I've done this for many years. When I was on the FM radio in the early 2010s in Florida, I talked about my alcoholism on the radio very openly. Because at Florida State in Tallahassee, there is a lot of drinking and driving. There's a lot of partying. And I felt like as part of me giving back for all of the things that I did as a horrible drunk driver when I was younger as a college student, I want to impress on young people to not do it themselves. And that it was very important for me to be out and talking about my alcoholism and the things that I did when I was an alcoholic that were bad, and to give a good bad example for other people to hopefully avoid some of the mistakes that I made and stuff like that. So I'm an advocate against drunk driving, also a huge advocate for this, because it's a really very serious problem in the world, and we need to come down on it harder in some ways. I really do, because I got 4 or 5 DUIs before I finally stopped. And part of it was because they were lax on it. And that was really bad. Seymour saying, Danny Ferry, Atlanta Hawks, he was booted by the league for racism towards Luol Deng. That's good. Donald Sterling, Los Angeles Clippers. That's really good. It's amazing that at this day and age that there are probably still some front office people, ownership people in the NBA that are super racist and have really weird views about black people at this point, and they're still involved in the NBA. You know, there probably are still people like this, and it's crazy because there were a lot of them way back, like 30, 40 years ago, and maybe less and less of them over time. But if there's problems in the front office of the Phoenix Suns because there's an owner that's coming on to women and being gross and sexually harassing people, I'm sure there's still racist people involved in front offices in the NBA also. Danny Ferry's a good example. And I could see that. He was always a punk. He was an idiot. Like, I never liked Danny Ferry when he played in the NBA. His dad was cooler than him. Anyway, Seymour's saying Miles Leonard could still play, but he's toxic in the league's eyes and fans' eyes. That's what I'm saying. You can get baggage. That's what they talk about sometimes on the Stunted Growth YouTube channel. He talks about the downfall of NBA players and why it happens to them. And he says, well, you catch a bag or a badge on you that's not necessarily fair, but it's on you. Like Karatz right now, he has the domestic violence badge on him. And he has to carry that weight, and that's going to hurt his career. Well, Miles Leonard, it was Leonard Meyer. What I know you're talking about? He's the stream guy isn't it Duncan Leonard or something like that? It was one of these guys that was on Miami Heat. He was saying some anti-Semite stuff on there. And it was really bad. And they came down on him and stuff like that. It's Miles Leonard. Yeah, I don't even remember him. That's how much I put him out of my mind. Blue City saying, question, are some NBA players or racist? Some NBA players racist? Well, I wondered about Larry back in the day, just because of where he was from. He was such a hick. I wonder about Chet right now. I know that there's this weird kind of like statement that's fake that Ballsack News put out about him using the N-word and about how he's coming in the league and he's going to make all these N-words pay or something is what he said. It was a false quote that he didn't actually say, but the parody site attributed to him. And I'm like, this is going to cause all kinds of problems for Chet Holmgren, because now on the periphery, some people may thought that was a real comment and that he's a racist now and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like, we've heard from time to time little things about some players maybe being a little racist, but the NBA is really good about getting that out and pushing it out. I think just the way the NBA is a progressive sports league, that not many racists want to play in the NBA. Let's just put it that way. There's probably way more racists in MLB. Like in baseball, there's a ton of racists there. I'm going to tell you that right now. And in fact, what they were talking about, somebody was saying that there's less and less black MLB players right now. Why is that happening and stuff like that? Well, I know a couple of reasons why it's happening. It has to do with access to the sport and feeling a connection to wanting to be in the sport. And I don't know, a lot of black kids want to play baseball if they're going to choose between football, baseball, and basketball. That they may pick one of those other two sports first, then baseball, and really put all their work and time in developing in that sport as a young person and stuff like that. But it's true. The percentage of black players in the MLB right now is going down. And that's very interesting and weird. And I think part of it is that, in some ways, both baseball and hockey have huge racism problems. Like football and basketball are much better because they have way more African Americans playing in them. But in hockey, in baseball, at the professional league, you can still see major racist kind of behavior by players and people involved in those sports. And that's, we're ahead of them, and we're as being more progressive and against racism as far as I'm concerned. You saw the Colin Kaepernick shit with the NFL, that there's racist fans of the NFL for sure. Well, there's probably players that are racist also. But different percentages in different sports. I say the NBA probably has the least racist, the NFL second. I say that baseball's third, and then the NHL probably has the most racists in it. Let's see. I Smoke Rocks is saying, what did you think of Master P, the player, when he tried out for you guys? That was hilarious. Master P at that time was doing everything, Percy Miller. He was in the training camp with us on our summer league and played a little bit. He didn't do a whole lot for the Raptors, but it was fun. It was a cool little stunt. He was also on WCW Nitro around that time with the No Limit Soldiers. And he was coming out and wrestling and being on WCW Nitro with Hulk Hogan and all them too. So Master P was a little bit diversified at that time with music, wrestling, and basketball going on with him. But, it wasn't totally a publicity stunt. He was better than J. Cole. J. Cole just played for CEBL here in Toronto for Scarborough, and he wasn't that good. but Percy Miller played pretty good for the Raptors in training camp. He didn't look out of place. Let's just put it that way. Seymour saying Master P needed more minutes. He played well. Yeah, see, Seymour remembers, and he remembers him playing pretty good. We didn't see him. He was playing with John Tabak. No, he was after Tabak, I believe, or maybe he was right around the same time. I may have my timelines messed up. You know what? You're right, because if he was on WCW Nitro, it was around the same time. It was the late 90s. So, yeah, you're right. Blue City's saying Embiid is a grown man. He could play whoever he wants to play for. Sure, that's fine, but just know he's upsetting his home country. I'm a reporter. I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just saying he turned his back on Cameroon for France. That's just the truth of the situation and stuff like that. Seymour saying Embiid, red flags. What a big red flag player. I love it. I love it. We're a little bash. If we talk about Tyrese Maxey, we could have a meeting of we meet together on the same opinions on him. But I don't think we're going to meet on the same place on Joel Embiid. It's just not going to happen. Blue City saying there's a guy that is now playing for the New York Giants, and he has a speech impediment. I think he is the first football player with a stuttering problem that plays for the NFL recently. You know, you'd be surprised because there's a lot of guys that have had speech impediments over the years, and you just wouldn't even know it. You know who's one of the most famous athletes that has a speech impediment that I forgot about, that has always had a speech impediment? Is Ron Harper Sr., guys. Ron Harper Jr.'s dad, you won't see him do very many interviews or talk too much, is because he has a stuttering problem. That if you hear Ron Harper talk, he stutters whenever he talks. It's not like optional. He is a stutterer, and that he's very well known for this in the NBA circles. And that, yeah, Ron Harper Jr.'s dad is somebody with a speech impediment, and that informed his aggressiveness and his competitiveness as a youngster, that he was bullied for being a stutterer, and that fueled his fire to become a better basketball player. So I don't know if you guys knew that about Ron Harper Sr., because you don't really see him talk a whole lot or do interviews, because he was Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and Phil Jackson and Kobe and Shaq. And Ron was just kind of a role player around there. Well, that whole time he had a stuttering problem, and he still does to this day. So, yeah, Blue City saying, I'm more into baseball and football and basketball. Yeah, me too. I'm not as into hockey. If I had to rank these sports as far as what I enjoy watching, basketball is by far way above all the other ones. And then at the bottom, I don't even watch the NFL anymore, but the NFL is probably second. I've always enjoyed football. Hockey and baseball are kind of equal. In fact, baseball may be below hockey just because it's so slow paced. I went to a Blue Jays game against the Red Sox this summer recently, and I was so bored. Like, I just had a hard time being there, between being around a lot of people, and then also everybody's getting super drunk, and that's always difficult for me, because baseball really is that kind of sport. You go there to sit there and waste time and drink and watch, like, oh, something happened, they got a hit or something like that. But there's a lot of downtime where you can just eat and drink. And that's not what I'm all about. I want action. I want scoring. I want up and down the court like a basketball game. So that's where I look at it with that. Seymour saying Bill Laimbeer was no joke. I think he was hated because of his color. There's a little bit of reverse racism towards white people in some ways. Sure, Bill did get a lot of hate. Same with Larry. Larry got a lot of this similar kind of animosity in some ways. But once again, in the whole scheme of things, what matters is not racism against white people. That it has not done a whole lot of damage to white people and a whole in general. Sure, maybe in specific individual cases where somebody's gotten really hurt in some ways, but on the whole grand scheme of things, we shouldn't be worried about people being racist against white people. That white people are crying out about people being racist against them. They need to just shut the fuck up. Because honestly, grow up and be tougher. Because it's really, seriously, it's like, listen, this is, all right, you don't like the way that feels? Well, that's what you've been doing to people the other way for decades and decades. And it's been much more damaging and bad for those people than what they're doing to you. So I don't get into this. I don't feel bad for Bill Laimbeer. He went to Notre Dame. He played for the Pistons. He's a champion. He's an WNBA champion as a coach. He's had a great life. And maybe, sure, he was very hated. And part of the hate was partly because he was white. But in the same token, I'm like, who cares? It's like, it's not the same. It's not like he was his people were enslaved and brought to this continent like other people were and stuff like that. There's no equivalency in racism towards white people and racism towards black people. There's just not the same kind of thing in any kind of way and stuff like that. Blue City saying, in my opinion, I believe there is a lot of black NBA head coaches more than the NFL, MLB, and NHL. This is getting better. That like half the coaches currently right now are black coaches in the NBA. There's 50% black, 50% white. That's the best percentage that's ever been in the NBA. In fact, you would think there would have been more at some point, but no, this is the highest there's been the most black NBA head coaches. And that's fantastic. I mean, seriously, representation matters at all levels. That's why LeBron becoming a sports owner is a huge, important, good thing. That's why Masai Ujiri being the president of the Raptors is a huge, good, important thing. That these are important to have representation on all levels of sports franchises, not just as the players, as the commodities that get shipped and traded as around, stuff like that. They need to be involved in coaching. They need to be involved in front office management. They need to be involved in ownership. So, yeah, the NBA is ahead on this for sure. And there's a similar kind of fight with women also, that we need more representation of women in sports, whether it's as refs, whether it's as executives, coaches, whatever. And the NBA is much more progressive on this than the other sports as far as things. Now, we're starting to see some more women involved in the other sports, in football and hockey, but not a whole lot. And you don't see hardly any of it in football. I mean, in baseball at all. So, yeah, this is the interesting thing. And that's kind of maybe the way you can gauge which sport is the most progressive, is how many opportunities are being given to women and people of color in different positions. And there you go, stuff like that. So I see more saying Malachi Flynn, 73 in it's not Drew League. He was in Seattle, in the Seattle Pro-Am is where he got 73. That's great. He needed that. And hopefully he can carry that into something that matters going into the season, stuff like that. A Blue City saying karma will always come back to bite people. Somehow, some way, something happens. I don't understand how it happens, and it's not for me to know. And even if there's someone who's slighted me at some point in my life, it's not for me to be there for when that karma comes back around to them. It's just how the way the world is and stuff like that. And I agree with this too, Blue City. But you know what? In some ways, this isn't totally true either. Bad people get away with things, and they get away scot-free also. And good people do get punished also. So there's not always a justice in this world, which is too bad. We like to think that it all evens out at the end, but sadly, that's not always the case. Monique saying, so Lex, I was always in special ed class, so I can relate to Ron Senior. Yeah, I mean, listen, people have all kinds of different things that they have to overcome in their lives. We all get different hands dealt to us, different cards. And, it's about making the best of what you got. Like Monique has had different things that she's had to overcome and stuff like that. And it has not stopped her from being an absolute force in the Raptors fan nation, for her just enjoying her passion for the Raptors and what she does and how she covers them and how she follows them. And she's an important person in the Raptors community because she put herself there. And she could have easily said, you know what, I'm just going to be myself and live my own private life. But she has pushed herself to do this. And I have so much respect for that in so many different ways, Monique, and stuff like that. And yeah, people have different things to overcome. And sometimes it's themselves and their own ego and their own inflated self-importance that isn't actually there. Sometimes that's harder to overcome than the other stuff because you can't even see it and stuff like that. So Blue City saying Boston Celtics head coach is also black. That's really good. And there was a period where the Celtics were all black players, and that was really interesting and weird because usually they would always have that one great white hope on their roster. Like, I know that Celtics Nation would love to have Luka Doncic on their team. Like that, they'd rather have Luka on their team than Scotty or anybody else because he's the best white guy in the league. They probably wanted Dirk for many years also, stuff like that. So let's see. Blue City saying, I think there's only one black head coach in baseball, and he is the manager for the Houston Astros. They've had different black head coaches over the years, and there's been different numbers of a lot of them at different times and stuff like that. But baseball is behind as far as on this stuff. There's not very many women or people of color in charge of things involved in baseball for sure. I Smoke Rocks is saying Daryl Morey could teach Masai analytics. It would take Raptors to the next level. You're talking like Daryl Morey's like Billy Bean with the money ball in baseball. This is not the same kind of thing. Like, listen, I will get behind Daryl Morey and him being a savant and a genius when it comes to basketball when his team actually wins. All right. When he actually has like built some success over some time and stuff like that. It's really body of work that you got to look at. And if you're going to look at body of work, I think Masai Ujiri's body of work is a little bit better than Daryl Morey's. So let's just like figure out who's going to teach who what in this situation, Rocks. Come on now. And yeah, red flag all over that. Seymour Pape is right. All right, we're just over 3 hours. We went way longer than I thought we would today, but we were talking about very important things. And I'm glad we did. And this is always good. Like, this is the thing. Some people get uncomfortable on this subject and they don't want to talk about it. They just want to poo-poo it or put it away or never talk about it. This is something that we need to come head on with and just be open and outright with. The more we do this, the better things will be and the more understanding we'll have. And that, listen, this may be a Raptors live stream, but this is more than that also. This is about learning and understanding more in everything and stuff like that. I appreciate it. Blue City, I don't know what you said. I wish you hadn't retracted. I was going to read it right then. I Smoked Rocks saying, nice talking with y'all. Nice talking to you also. It's always a little bit of fun, a little mix of a little bit of trolling with you guys, but also, good conversations and very fun. And listen, once again, it's important that we all build bridges and not destroy bridges, that we all need to be looking for the commonalities and things we have is similar, the loves and the passions that we share, and not the things that make us different, because that difference is what they want us to look at and hate each other for. That when we hate each other, we are easier to control, divide, and conquer. That the really, really rich people that are running things, the 1%, the huge corporations want us to hate each other. Because if we were actually all together on the same page and working together as a team, then they're in trouble because we have the power and we can go mess them up. So the more they distract us by putting us against each other, the more we don't fight against them and get what's actually fair for us from them. So remember that in your everyday life. Blue City's saying, oh my God, I forgot to tell you guys, the Vegas Raider football team have hired a black lady to be the president of the Las Vegas Raiders football team. She's the first black lady to be the president of an NFL team. That's fantastic. That's great. The Raiders have always been on the cutting edge of this kind of progressiveness. In fact, this was something that Al Davis really valued as the team owner and the president of the team, is that he wanted to be the first one to piss the other people off in the league by having a black head coach, that he was the one who was hiring people and elevating them from places that they hadn't been before in the history of the NFL and stuff like that. So kudos to the Raiders for being one of the most progressive sports franchises in the NFL. Yeah, I love to hear that. And Blue City's saying, like the song always says, Mama said, knock you out. I'm going to knock you out. All right, come on then, Philly Nation. Come on. I want to see y'all in the preseason. I want to see y'all as soon as we can. Now, we got y'all the last time we played you in the preseason, the Summer League. That's right. We won in Summer League. Y'all may have won in the playoffs and put us out, but we won the last one in Summer League against y'all. And I'm feeling good about that. But you can feel good about putting us out. But next season, I love this rivalry between Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors. That this is good and healthy. And that Blue City and I Smoke Rocks can be here and interacting with Raptor fans as Sixers fans is so badass and great. Let's keep it all together. And friendly trash talk like this is great. So I'm going to say, I'm going to knock you out. Mama said, knock you out. I'm going to knock you out. Mama said, knock you out.